championship so close he can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Pearson.
Good morning, Road to Indy race fans, and welcome to VP Racing Fuel's Championship Weekend here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'm your host, Parker Thompson. I'm here with Rob Howden, the Series Development Director. And Rob, we have got a nail-biter on our hands here. It's raining again.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Obviously, two really great days on Friday and Saturday here at Mid-Ohio. Not your typical opening weekend of October weather. We had mid-70s, sunshine, blue skies. It seems that when you're here in October, inevitably you're going to get some rain. It's happened to me when I've raced here myself. But, yeah, we woke up this morning. It was raining actually last night when we left. It continued to rain this morning. If you watched any of our qualifying sessions, Parker, they were pretty wild out there. USF 2000 and Indy Lights barely able to get any fast laps in.
No, wet and wild. It was awesome. You even saw, championship contender Kyle Kirkwood go off. When a guy like that goes off, funny enough, I was talking with him. He's never driven in the wet on the road to Indy. Kind of wild. Yeah. So this just shows how weird this year's been. I wish I was racing. I love the wet. And we've had a few rain races this year. New Jersey Motorsports Park was pretty wet, and then we come here for championship finale weekend, and we got day two pretty wet. So obviously USF 2000, we've got the championship locked up. Kiko Porto's the champion. The team championship's locked up by D-Force Racing. Indeed. All bets are off. We're going for race wins, and in qualifying, it kind of showed that.
Well, it's a good thing to a certain extent that it's locked up because that qualifying session was so messed up. We got things rolling, and we had some issues with three of our front-running drivers, actually. Michael D'Orlando, Prescott Campbell, and Josh Green all involved in an incident in Turn 4. They end up going off into China Beach. Plus, Christian Weir went off in Turn number 1 and got into the tires. Those needed to get repaired, and you know what it's like in China Beach. We put three guys out there. The crane has to come in to pull them out of the gravel. It took a long time. I thought we might be able to potentially fit some time in, but they had to fix the tires. Eventually, only 2 laps getting done in qualifying. Race control deciding, you know what, we'll scuttle this session. Not enough to have a full session. We're going to go off qualifying times from race 1, the second fastest qualifying lap. Michael D'Orlando was in the incident, ends up being on the pole.
Yeah, obviously tough call for race control. I think they had to look at not only just Michael D'Orlando. I think they had to look at the grid and how jumbled it is. Anytime you only do 2 laps, you've got a pretty jumbled grid, and that's tough to go racing with. But at the same time, heard from a few competitors, obviously, when you look at a guy, Michael D'Orlando, who's fighting now for second in the championship, Yuvan brought it up to me. He said, how do you cause a red flag and then get pole, you get the bonus point, and then you get the $1,000 that Cooper Tires hands out? He's going, that's not right. You kind of have to feel for him, but at the same time, we've got to abide by race control, and I think they needed to make a call not just for the front. They needed to make a call for the whole field.
Indeed. So when we looked at this, we thought that potentially the rain was going to go away. I looked at the forecast a little bit, and the rain potentially wasn't going to be here for like that 5-hour run. We look out where we are now. I just came in from the paddock area. It's raining again right now. It was a light sprinkle, now raining a little bit more. So we are going to have some wet weather racing, and not like New Jersey that we had where it was wet and then dried up, and those guys on the reins were actually garbage. This is literally going to be a full 20-lap race in the wet, and find out whether or not they may cut the laps a little bit, but we'll see what happens because, Parker, we're going to see who can actually really drive in the wet, not wet to dry conditions.
Yeah, and, I love the fact that we've got the championship locked up and done. Because now there's no, if I'm Kiko Porto, I'm like, okay, I'm Brazilian, I'm good in the wet. He was sitting at the top of the charts there. I'm going, let's go get another win. So I hope we see, nobody protecting any of the points they've got. That's pretty well all done and dusted. Let's go and see what these USF guys can get done in the wet.
And I really like seeing this because, again, you mentioned, Kyle Kirkwood said he's never really had a chance to race in the wet, especially here at Mid-Ohio in the road to Indy. And for me, I always like seeing which drivers step up. We don't get to see it a lot on the road to Indy when we have a full wet conditions. For me, I always want to see which driver has that particular ability because you can go fast in the dry, but then be horrible in the wet when the conditions are all about driver input and modulating the throttle and steering input, right? It's the great equalizer. I want to see who rises to the top of these tough conditions.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. And it almost, it scares me when I look at a guy like Kyle Kirkwood that's going to IndyCar. He's on the brink of it, and he's never driven in the wet. That just blows my mind that we haven't seen his capability. And there's a number of guys in our category that Unfortunately, rules have kind of changed in the past, I would say 5 years especially, but even over the last decade. Now, if there's a lightning strike within 3 miles of the track, we cannot go for 30 minutes. Every time you see a lightning strike, it's a 30-minute delay. And that's not just for the Road to Indy, not just for IndyCar. That is a North American racing rule pretty well. I'm in IMSA, same deal.
Okay.
Lightning strike, 30-minute delay. So a lot of the times we end up giving away rain races because of the lightning strikes,
Sure
not
enough.
because it's treacherous.
So let's talk about that. Let's get into the actual driving itself. We'll have a look at the track map here momentarily. But what does it take to go fast around a racetrack? I don't know that if you've driven here in the wet before. I have, but not with any horsepower. What does it take to go fast in the wet? Those of you may be tuning in, you've watched a lot of our races in the dry. It's a much different racing line. For you as a driver, what's it take?
So the first thing, we'll teach you the basic rules of rain racing. What is usually the most grippy part on a racetrack is the rubber that the Cooper tires lay down on that racetrack, and that is called the racing line or the dry racing line. Well, in the wet, where you put the rubber down actually ends up being slick. I don't know if anybody at home has ever slipped on a wet painted line, but a painted line is similar to rubber on a racetrack. It ends up getting slick on a sidewalk. Same thing happens on the racetrack. So you'll end up seeing a lot of guys, you have to brake offline, so you can't brake on the edge of the track. You end up braking in the middle of the track. And really, especially around a place like Mid-Ohio, I'll put a disclaimer out as we get further into this learning about rain racing, you essentially try and cross the rubber marks straight. So you cross it, you don't want to turn across it. That's what gets the car loose. You'll do a snap oversteer. Now, Mid-Ohio is a different type of beast, let's call it. It's an older track. It's been grooved a long time. I mean, this place, since the 1950s has been one of America's premier racing tracks, and it's been generally the same pavement. It's had a lot of running on it, and it gets grooved, right? You end up getting that, how would you call that, Rob? It's that
Not a word I've got for you.
smoothed out.
Yeah, I hear what you're
Right?
saying. Yeah.
Anyways, that becomes ultra slick. Mid-Ohio is, I would say, the most treacherous, and I'm not just saying it because we're here. It is the most treacherous track in the rain. I mean, more professional race car drivers have crashed and lost leads, lost races here because of the wet. Super treacherous.
So is it that much? Is there's no grip whatsoever? You're out there in the wet. We saw that, of course, in the Indy Lights session. Man, they struggled to put any kind of power down.
It's the grooves in the track.
All right.
So when you cross those racing lines, it's it's treacherous.
Wow, all
You
right.
watch guys like Kyle Kirkwood. I mean, half the Indy Lights guys went off this morning.
It's true. There was a lot of issues.
Indy Pro, I would say just about every driver at the front went off at one point during the session, and you just don't see that anywhere else. That is a Mid-Ohio specific.
And listen, one of the things to watch out for as well, again, you talk about where you need to be on the racetrack, but visibility always plays the key. The driver is going to be able to get out front here in USF 2000, Michael D'Orlando starting from pole, if he's able to hold that spot. Being out front and having that clear, you're still going to get covered with the rain on their visors, but those in the back, if you're like 10th, 11th, 12th, you're not going to see anything at the start.
Well, and people ask me all the time, is the onboard camera as bad as it is in the car? And because the onboard camera is generally a foot above our heads in an open wheel car, I'd say the onboard camera has better visibility. The spray is just unbelievable. Half the time you are memorizing where the track once was in the spray, and I think that's why Michael's going to have such an advantage learning that rain line. So to take you through the rain line, we're going to go down to our live track, and I'll talk you through some of the rain lines around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and how treacherous it is. So right away, we'll get down to turn 1. Kind of 2 lines you can take. You can rim shot it and go around all the way around the outside. Kind of cool on this track map too. You can actually see where that rubber mark is. It's that dark black, and that's actually where they've put down some tar to keep the track down. You don't want to hit that. That's where it's slippery. We go down to the keyhole, same thing. You can see where that dark patches are. That is where it's grooved. That is where the rubber is. You don't want to ever cross that. So you can see the rubber marks trailing into the corner. You want to diamond that to get down the back straight. You really want to set yourself up through the keyhole to get down through 3 and get down through 4. All the way down, we have what's called weepers. Weepers are where the water's draining across the track, and that's where you see drivers in 5th, 6th gear hitting the limiter down the racetrack because of how much water there is. Turn 4, same thing. You're going to want to go around the outside, rim shot it all the way to 5. Same thing, rim shot into 6. It's pretty well, I know it's going to get repetitive, but you've got to do the same thing over and over again. Rinse and repeat. It feels slow. You're using so much more track than you would, but there's just that much more grip. You go down through turn 8 and turn 9. This is where things, in Indy Lights, we saw plenty of drivers spin off. It gets really tough. Now, there's 2 ways to do it. The Indy Lights guys were staying on the inside. I like the outside rim shot and then actually crossing over onto the inside of the track on the exit through Thunder Valley. Again, super slick. You've got lots of painted stuff through there that you got to watch out for. You get into turn 10, you're going around the outside, so unlike the dry line where you're right up against the red barricade, you're actually going to be on the outside of turn 10 to be on the outside for turn 11. A lot of guys go off. You can see that gravel trap in turn 11. I'm sure that's going to get used this race. And then the carousel through 13, really, you're just trying to set yourself up to get through 13. Rain is all about getting the exit shots. It's not actually about the entry or the middle roll speed. So you do whatever you can. I like that outside line, almost coming into pit lane, and then crossing over to 13 to get your run onto the front straight. If you're in the spray, you're just hoping to stay on the black stuff. If you're not in the spray like Michael D. Orlando, hopefully you're driving off into the sunset.
What about the curbing as well? You talked about the painted lines. Talk about staying away from that particular part of the track where the groove is. But I got to think that the painted curbing is not a place you want to be either.
No, the only place that I would flirt with the painted curbing is turn 13. Where you're trying to get that run onto the straightaway.
Yeah, okay.
You want to be inside. Everywhere else, if you touch the curb, you're pretty well, you're flirting with spinning off the track.
Right. Well, cars have rolled out onto the racetrack right now, folks. 22 ready to go for the final race of the 2021 Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Let's have a look at the grid as we get set to go. 22 drivers, as I said, 11 rows of race car drivers, and starting in the 22nd position in the number 42 will be Michael Myers. Inside of that row, Trey Burke, the Joe Doodling Autosport number 63. Moving now to row number 10, starting on the outside, Kent Vaccaro for Miller Vinatieri Motorsports in the number 16. Inside, the driver just named to Team USA as part of the Team USA Scholarship will run this October and November in the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy with Low Dempsey Racing. Some wet weather racing right now will be advantageous for Andre Castro in the number 19 as he'll start in the 19th position. Row number 9 on the outside, the big mover from yesterday's race, Billy Fraser, got his way up into the top 10. Fraser from New Zealand for Exclusive Autosport will start 18th in the number 91. And on the inside, we welcome back Jackson Lee after missing the event at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Lee from Avon, Indiana, running for J. Howard Driver Development in the number 8. Move now to row number 8, starting 16th on the outside for J. Howard Driver Development. It's Bejoy Garg in the number 6. And running for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports, Evan Stammer in the number 3, set to go from the 15th position. We'll go now to row number 7 on the outside. We'll use the V-Box Motorsport onboard camera as well for Eli Navarro, last year's Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series champion, bringing his $75,000 scholarship into the USF 2000 program this year. Navarro was strong yesterday, showed good speed throughout the weekend in the number 1. He'll start 14th. And the young rookie driver who made his debut just about a month ago in USF 2000 at New Jersey Motorsports Park, Christian Weir for Turn 3 Motorsports in the number 32, starting in 13th. Starting in row number 6, 12th will be his teammate at Turn 3, Dylan Christie, in the number 34. While on the inside from Quebec, Canada, for Cape Motorsports, the winner at Road America, Thomas Nepfu in the number 2. Into the top 10 now as we're closing on the time to fire these engines up. Force Indy driver Miles Rowe in the number 99 as getting set to go. Winner at New Jersey Motorsports Park. He'll start 10th alongside Prescott Campbell, who won earlier this year at Barber Motorsports Park. Another Lucas Oil Formula Car champion, Prescott Campbell in the number 11, starting in 9th. Moving now to row 4 on the outside, podium at Road America, Spike Kohlbecker in the number 5 for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports. He'll start 8th. Inside of that row, out of Oregon in the number 24 for Pabst Racing, Josh Pearson, starting 7th. Row 3 on the outside, Josh Green in the 33 for Turn 3 Motorsports, Green out of Mount Kisco, New York. He'll start 6th. Again, this grid set by the second fastest lap in qualifying for race number 1. The new champion, Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing, the Brazilian in the number 12, will launch from P5. We'll go now to row number 2. Starting 4th on the outside, it's Nolan Siego at Palo Alto, California. He was able to get his first race win in USF 2000 at New Jersey in the number 10 for D-Force Racing. He'll start alongside Jace Denmark in the number 23. Solid way to start the season for Jace. Got into an incident yesterday with Prescott Campbell. Denmark once again starting from the inside of row number 2 in the Pabst Racing number 23. 22 drivers in the field. We'll put 2 on the front row as we get set to roll here right now. Yuvan Sundaramurthy who will start on the outside of the front row. A winner yesterday in the number 22, his 4th win of the season. Sooner Murthy in the 22 starting second. But the driver on the pole position right now, Michael D'Orlando in the number 4. He will be the driver coming from the pole. Again, D'Orlando and Sooner Murthy, your front row starters. Time to get things underway on pit lane. Drivers, for the last time in 2021, start your engines. Single file start. Parker Thompson, 2 laps of warm-up as well. Pace laps around this racetrack. Single file may be a good idea in terms of trying to get through the opening couple of corners, but it doesn't matter where you are. If you're not Michael D'Orlando, the visibility is going to be minimal when you're heading to turn 1.
Yeah, it's going to be tough regardless, single file or double file, but I think Race Control did a good call there. Obviously, these guys didn't even really get to run in qualifying, so you got to give them a chance, right? So first level on the road to Indy, not for long.
That's true. That's not for long. USF juniors will feed into USF 2000 starting in 2022. But you're right. Here's these guys, and they really haven't had any rain racing. We had the rain sessions at New Jersey, but like you said, they were out there on the rain tires, but it quickly got dry. This is going to be a full wet deal here for sure.
Well, and if New Jersey Motorsports Park, if that was a level 5 out of 10, I would say for rain racing, this is your level 10 out of 10 for rain racing.
That's
Rob.
right. All we need is the rain to start pouring down, and that would be level 11. But at this point here, it is raining right now. The track is unbelievably damp. And Parker walked you through this racetrack here, all the different corners, how to kind of run the outside line, like you said, that rain line. You got to cross back across the very slippery track where the rubber's been laid down, the oil there, of course. You got to get across that with the car straight, otherwise it's going to loop around on you. And then you mentioned the weepers coming down the straightaway where the rain and all the runoff of the water and the grass eventually comes across the track. You have to pick those up. And that's what's happening a little bit here. They're pace laps, but really, Parker, also kind of reconnaissance laps, giving you the opportunity to get a feel for where there may be standing water or weepers coming across the racing surface.
100%, Rob. And the biggest thing, too, is we're trying to build tire temp. And the only way you can really do that in the rain without loading the car is through the brake pedal. So these drivers are probably pretty heavy on that brake pedal, making sure that it's, to take you through it.
Yeah.
I see by your face
Yeah,
there.
so the heat coming out of the brakes, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the heat coming out of the brakes goes into your hub, which goes into literally the rim of the tire, and then that builds the tire pressure out of that. So a little trick to the trade there. I'm sure some race car drivers maybe, if they didn't know that, they just got a Thompson quick tip.
So, again, drivers working around. It will be a couple of laps here. You can see the drivers weaving back and forth, trying to build a little bit of heat into the tires. And as Parker just explained, getting on those brakes. You'll want to warm the brakes up anyways. It's something you do in a warm-up lap anyways.
Well, for everybody doing that right there, we saw them weaving back and forth. That is at 5 miles an hour doing nothing. So it might feel good. It might get their head in the right space, but that's about all it's doing. You need to hit the brake pedal in order to generate any tire temp in these types of conditions. Another thing I'll touch on, Rob, at any time, if one of these drivers has a spin during these 2 pace laps, non-negotiable, you're going to the back of the field. So if I'm a team owner, I am making sure that my drivers do not be that guy that spins out.
So raining right now, track's out, as we said, about 64 degrees here, the ambient temperature. It's not like we're down into the 50s where really we're kind of worried about grip levels. These drivers will be able to have enough grip. They will build some heat into the tires here. But the bottom line is just finding out where to be on the racetrack, getting a feel for where there is grip and feeling where they're able to roll the throttle. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, on board with the V-Box Motorsports onboard camera with Eli Navarro. He's going to give us a really interesting view of this racetrack.
It is awesome. When he gets going a little faster, that water should disperse off the camera, and we should be able to see. But right here, we're going through turn 9. He's on the outside. He must have been listening to me on the broadcast. He comes to the inside there. See how he crossed that rubber. Obviously, it'll look a little bit better when he's at speed. Another thing, though, if we can stay on this for just a moment, something I found interesting about this start coming up. Normal restart procedure would be a single file restart, and the restart zone is coming up here to the carousel. So we'll let Eli get down there. But really, right about here, you're aware as a race car driver that the track could go green, especially if you're 10th in the field. This is right around the restart zone. But today, our original start is still going to take place in the normal start zone. And the normal start zone is down by start-finish. I want to say it's that 100-foot to start-finish zone. So kind of interesting. It's going to be weird. When these guys go single file, they're just like racehorses. They think that they're going in the restart zone, and we'll see if anybody falters.
And you can be sure that the engineer or the team strategist will be on the radio with all these drivers, telling them when to go green. The minute that green flag flies, you can get at it, and we'll see them all work on their way out of turn number 1. We'll cross our fingers right now. Treacherous conditions, hoping the drivers are able to get through cleanly in the opening couple of laps. Scheduled for a 20-lap race here at this 2.258-mile racetrack, 13 corners in total here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. If you're tuning in on the Road to Indy TV app or USF2000.com or roadtoindy.tv, we appreciate you taking a little bit of your Sunday to be part of what is the final rounds of the 2021 Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. $3.1 million worth of cash and prizes being doled out at our awards banquet this evening. And again, it's been a tremendous season as we continue to train the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series. Champions, of course, being crowned. One already locked and loaded, and that comes in this particular series, the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship, as Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing locking the driver championship yesterday after a really solid run of finishes throughout the tail end of the season. Same goes for D-Force as the team, scoring the team championship. Indy Pro 2000, of course, which will come up as the capper of the weekend. We know that Christian Rasmussen, not taking qualifying, all he needs to do is take the green flag of the race to get the championship done there. Exclusive Autosports winning that team championship. And, of course, we know that Kyle Kirkwood has things pretty much in hand to a certain extent in Indy Lights, but it's not done yet. David Malukas qualifying on pole for Indy Lights, keeping his dream alive. He needs to win the race, leading the most laps to get all the points. Kyle Kirkwood needs to finish 12th. If that all happens, and all the sun shines, it's not even here, but the sun shines for Malukas, he would win by 1 point. Still an opportunity for David Malukas. It's been a crazy season.
It has been a crazy season. And to touch on that, Rob, what a quick season. It feels like we just got going there at Barber Motorsports Park. And here we are.
Yeah, we're going to wrap things up here in the opening weekend of October at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Those of you who have tuned in with us throughout the entire season, we thank you so much for it. Big thank you to all our broadcast partners as well, and everybody from Road to Indy TV and Anderson Promotions. It is time to go racing for the last USF 2000 event of the 2021 season. As we still ride on board here with Eli Navarro, time to see that pace car pull off, and it'll go into the hands of Michael D'Orlando from Cape Motorsports, battling it out, trying to hold on to second place in the championship. He and Yuvan Sunaramoorthy right behind him, fighting for P2 in that title race. They'll come out of the final corner. We'll look for green from our official flagman, Aaron Likens. Driver setting up, coming out of the corner. And we are, I believe, racing. Green, green, green. Racing down into turn number 1. Midway through the corner comes D'Orlando running the outside line. One driver just almost dropping a wheel. Otherwise, people coming through cleanly thus far. Trying to get under that Cooper Tire bridge nice and clean. Looking good here as well. Full field coming through turn number 1. Here comes that big run up to the keyhole for the first time. Sunaramoorthy thinking about the bottom of the racetrack. But remember, there's no grip down there. And in fact, what happened?
Yeah, that's Josh Green leading
Green.
the race. And that was, I believe, Kiko Porto in second.
So whatever we didn't see between turn 2 and turn 1 and turn 2, something has happened to D'Orlando to go back. Josh Green was the first driver in. We do have a yellow flag flying. You see coming into the corner. Pick it up, Parker.
Well, I saw those two Paps racing cars. It looked like they were headed to the kitty litter.
So it could be an issue down there in turn number 1, but we'll see what happens again as they roll through here.
Michael Myers and another Paps racing car that looks like, I want to say, Jace Denmark or Josh Pearson.
Well, Michael Myers was further back. You wonder what happened. That is off at the kitty litter of turn number 2, and that is definitely going to be a full course yellow. There's no way they're going to be able to get rolling again. Drivers pushing hard, though, knowing that we're going to go yellow. That's Miles Rowe down to the bottom. He's got a damaged right rear, so that'll be the end of Miles Rowe's season here. Damaged right rear. Another driver having some trouble coming down into turn number 5 off to the drivers left at a 5 to 6. Josh Green, your leader right now. We have 3 separate incidents on the racetrack. Now, that driver off in turn number 5 could potentially be from the contact with Miles Rowe. But full course yellow being thrown here, being told here. And indeed, that was going to come after the issue up in turn number 2. And surprising, obviously a Paps car and then Michael Myers. I have a feeling that Michael Myers probably coming in late, having to potentially check up. Maybe he got tapped from behind. I think that's 2 separate incidents. The Paps car going off and Michael Myers following suit.
Yeah, I saw those 2 Paps cars fighting, and they both looked like they were headed, but I think one maybe used the other.
You wonder.
Yeah.
We'll see. Josh Green was 6th coming across the line to start the race. He now leads as we are full course yellow here now after the incident up in turn number 2 in the keyhole. The AMR safety team quickly out there to try to pull those cars back in. We'll see which drivers fall down the order. Those involved in the incident. We know Miles Rowe was involved, I say, in that number 99, damage to the right rear of his Tatis. Jace Denmark was indeed the driver involved in the incident early on. You got to think, if you're talking two Paps cars up front, that would have been a Jace Denmark and Yuvan Sundaramurthy potentially together, or Josh Pearson.
And that's what it looked like. I saw two black cars, obviously, going side by side. It's tough that first lap. We talk about crossing that rubber, Rob.
Yeah, Josh Pearson falling down to the order as well. So maybe Josh involved with that incident with Jace Denmark.
Well, and I saw him actually, I think, further into 4, 5, 6, there was a spinner, another Paps car. So lots of chaos. That's what we expected, though, Rob. We knew that's why we started single
Cross
file.
our fingers.
You know, and to everybody at home that thinks you could do it better, trust me, this place is treacherous. I mean, I put many disclaimers out before this race. It is the hardest track to learn how to drive a Formula car in the wet. Great
right now to see a couple of these drivers coming back out, though, and refiring. So Jace Denmark's already refired. Hopefully we're going to see the car of Michael Myers refire as well. The remainder drivers coming through. Again, I believe that the damage to Miles Rowe, he's going to be done. That was right rear damage. Looks like the same right rear damage to the 43 as well, potentially.
I don't think they realize that he's got a right rear suspension failure. They were dragging him there. The car's, I mean, it's high-centered on the pavement. We'll see if he can get it going, but it looks like that might be terminal.
So the 42 of Michael Myers, we're having that, looking at a different camera view there to potentially see what's going on with Michael in turn number 2. Otherwise, drivers working their way through now 4 and 5. There we are back on that camera. Yeah, I think potentially they're seeing that now.
Yeah.
Or he's high center right. No, he's got that right rear spinning, so it's just high center. They're going to have to pull him a little bit further to get him right back onto the racetrack at this point. It won't be much. You're thinking potential damage on maybe one of the wishbones there because it does look a bit askew, but we'll see as they bring him back on. Otherwise, the field is fully formed, so we will be able to go back to green flag momentarily. Miles Rowe stayed on the racetrack. He's got his 2 laps in, which really surprises me. It looked to me like there was more damage to Miles Rowe. He may bring it into pit lane again. They're going to see if they can't fire up the car here of Michael Myers to get him back on track. But again, field working their way through turn number 9. Tough start there for sure. And again, coming down into turn number 2. Number 1, the grip level. Number 2, Parker, the visibility. The stuff that happens midway through the pack. Guys are charging in. Somebody breaks a bit early. Then you get on the brakes. How many times has anybody done when they're learning how to run in the rain, got on that brake a little too much? And if you had any input in the car, it's going around.
Well, I mean, Rob, when the leaders are going 3 wide into the keyhole, it's putting up a 3 wide spray.
That's true.
So nobody can see behind it. And unfortunately, sometimes you're victim to circumstance. You know, if you brake early, you're going to get hit from behind, and if you brake too late, you're the one doing the hitting. So it's just that Rochambeau that sometimes you need to go through.
And it looks to me like potential damage that we had picked up there for Michael Myers on the Hamatra, rather the AMR safety crew, going to have to get a hook out for him. So this is going to be a little bit longer than we thought. So damage to that right rear of Michael Myers, number 42, is going to require a tow truck to come in and lift him up. Myers still in the race car at this point here. A tough finish for Michael Myers to cap off this season. Here comes Miles Rowe into pit lane as well. Miles bringing that number 99 Force Indy car in. They'll have a look at the right rear based on what we saw as he kind of creeped his way through turn number 5 there on the opening circuit. I don't know that he's going to be able to continue either. That's not the kind of thing that you can repair quickly and get him back out on the racetrack here.
Off the top of your head, Rob, where did Nolan Siego start?
I want to say, I think I've got it right here. I want to say something like 6th position for Siegel. Actually, P4 for Nolan Siego. He's the 2nd.
Well, and he was the one attacking Josh Green into the hairpin, into the keyhole there. So,
and let's give you a rundown right now. Good idea. We have kind of reset things with what the issues that have happened. Josh Green is the leader on the racetrack right now for Turn 3 Motorsport. It is Nolan Siego running in 2nd. Michael D'Orlando falling back into 3rd on that opening circuit. Actually, the opening couple of corners. As they came into turn number 2, it was already Green into the position. D'Orlando back to 3rd, Yuvan Sundaramurthy 4th, Prescott Campbell 5th, Kiko Porto in 6th spot, Spike Kohlbecker 7th, Thomas Nepfu 8th, Christian Weir 9th, Dylan Christie in 10th, and Billy Fraser another attack. Fraser started, I think he started 18th. Indeed, 18th up to now 11th for Billy Fraser. So this guy taking no prisoners on the opening couple of corners, not even the opening lap.
Well, you know, if I could give him any advice for 2022, it would be if he starts in 5th, he's going to win every race.
That's it. Stop qualifying 18th, and that obviously sets you back. Josh Green, though, leading the way around. The wrecker finally getting up to the number 42 of Michael Myers. And again, you think about that damage because obviously Denmark went off, was able to come back on, and to have that damage there, you have to think that he was potentially trying to come turning into the corner, and a driver likely he hooked a driver on the left front. So if there's left front damage to some driver, that could be the guy that contacted potentially with the 42.
You nailed it, Rob. He either was trying to go around the outside of somebody that was spinning and rolling back, or going into the corner.
Yeah.
He was. They made that right rear to left front contact. It's interesting. It's usually the rear of the car that wins out on those things, but.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
In the ret, anything can happen.
Jace Denmark into pit lane, I think, as well. Potentially, yeah, both Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark into pit lane. We saw Denmark able to refire and pull away from the incident, but it looks like Denmark has had some damage as well. So not the start we were looking for, but not one we are particularly surprised about because, of course, the treacherous conditions, the lack of visibility, and as Parker has illustrated numerous times already in the broadcast, the low grip of this particular racetrack, and it is super tough.
Well, it's too funny. I'll give you 2 notes, Rob. 1 to go from race control, so they're hustling to get everything ready. And I don't know, we're watching the CTV, the safety trucks, and I just saw a safety truck going through turn 5 sideways. So even the safety truck knows that there is no grip out there.
We're working on the throttle there. Good job with the safety truck to stay out of trouble through 5. So we will go back to green this time around. Again, we have a nice time window here available to get racing. We've got 4 laps in the book, still 16 laps remaining. When we get back around, we'll put lap 5 down. 15 laps will remain in the 2021 Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship season. It's been a great one. Kiko Porto coming into the day with a 45-point lead over Michael D'Orlando, that insurmountable, giving him the championship yesterday. Porto with 5 wins, 6 poles, and 9 podiums on the season. A tremendous year for the Brazilian. Michael D'Orlando, 45 points back, as we said, but only 21 points, or 22 points rather, ahead of Juven Sunder-Amurthi. So we're not quite done there. Juven could potentially get himself back up if there was an issue here with Michael D'Orlando as well. Josh Pearson 4th, Christian Brooks, of course, 5th in points, but he'll likely lose this to Josh Green. Of course, Christian Brooks making the move to Indy Pro 2000 this year. He's been really impressive as well, and we'll look for a podium finish when we go racing with Indy Pro at the end of the day. But the bottom line is here, in tough conditions, Josh Green looking to potentially get his first career win in USF 2000.
Well, Rob, I was going to comment on it. I know 2nd and 3rd of the championship still isn't quite sealed and dealed, but when we look at who wants to prove a point going into next year, you know, I said it yesterday, Josh Green, when he was battling for a podium, he needs a result. Now he's leading the race. No pressure, Josh, but you're in prime A position to go out and get that result for next year.
And I think winning in the wet is something that a lot of team owners want to see as well. When you have the ability to win in conditions like this, it really does show it. It is the great equalizer, folks. It doesn't matter who has the more horsepower or whatever it may be. Rain racing really comes down to the driver, the input through of course, the throttle and the braking and your steering input. It's all about driver in terms of being able to manage the power here.
As we come here, Rob, I'll let you call the green, but we're getting close to that start zone on board with Eli Navarro. He better get ready.
Indeed that. Drivers coming out of Thunder Valley very soon to get things underway. Josh Green will bring them to the field. And again, as a restart, he's able to punch off a little bit earlier. You don't have to wait till you come back on the front straightaway. Pace car is gone, and we are getting ready to go racing here as they come out of Thunder Valley. There's the pace car. He's jumped out ahead enough that he's able to pull away because he's got to get far enough ahead to allow them to get punching off in the zone. So pace car is gone, and we're about to go racing. Look at this. Josh Green stacking him up a little bit. He'll want to be the first guy off the throttle. There's the run. Good start for Josh Green. Little spin of the tires, but a pretty good run down to turn 1. He'll get that stream into the face of Nolan Siego, but here comes Michael D'Orlando thinking about the inside. He tucks back in behind the gearbox. Good run so far through turn 1. All the drivers were clean through turn 1 on the opening circuit. It was 2, 5, and I believe 6 where we had the biggest issues. And folks, look at that spray further back. Zero visibility for some of these drivers mid-pack, and a good opening couple of corners here for Josh Green will give him the lead coming out of the keyhole. Probably about 6 or 7 car lengths as he gets back on the throttle once again and comes all the way down the long straightaway. But contact further back. Did have some contact between a couple of drivers. Kent Vaccaro, I believe, involved in turn number 2.
And Jackson Lee, it looked like.
And Vaccaro's off.
Yeah. Kent went for a spin, and Jackson Lee had no choice. Great job by Jackson, though. He throttled it up to go straight through the kitty litter. You can get stuck in that so easy. So he's out, but Unfortunately, folks, it might look like we're going yellow again.
Oh, my goodness. Another yellow flag here in these conditions. Drivers having trouble. Kent Vaccaro coming into turn number 2 in that car, just starting to rotate around on him. Again, not hard to do. Jackson Lee with nowhere to go, but good for Lee, like as Parker said, got off the racetrack and stayed on the throttle to the point where he was able to get right through. There's really an access road around the back part of the gravel trap that you're able to get on that access road and come back. Safety crew quickly out there to pull him back on. I don't see any damage to the race car from what we can see from our view of Kent Vaccaro. There it is right there. Looks to me like everything is fine. Just a simple spin for Vaccaro. They'll get him pulled back out onto the racetrack and get him rolling again, but not the start we wanted, Parker.
No, not the start we wanted, but, racecraft is so much different in the wet. And to describe it to you, you're setting them up in the corner before the straight in order to clear them before the next corner.
Yeah.
Rarely in rain racing do you see somebody outbrake another. Because there's generally only that one line that's not grooved,
Yeah.
It's really tough to go side by side, and that's what we saw. Kent down to the inside of somebody, and he crossed that line when he didn't have the car straight. Car went for a spin. Jackson Lee did a great job avoiding, but luckily, folks, I think this is going to be a pretty quick one. They just got to pull him out. He's barely in there. I'd say hopefully we're only one lap away.
Yeah.
I think it's possible we could go green this time by if they get everything sorted.
Agreed. If they can get him, they've got him hooked up right now. They had a bit of trouble with the hookup. They're going to get him to pull away right now a little bit and get a chance to get Kent Vaccaro pulled back out. They'll get those front wheels turned for Vaccaro as well so that he can follow the line of the car itself. Just waiting for that truck to pull away a little bit here, and we'll get things rolling. Field now working its way through that incident zone in turn number 2.
So we saw Josh Green jump out to a fairly nice little lead there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You talked about potentially going early in the zone. He waited literally coming out of turn number 13. He would have been the first driver squared up, immediately got on the throttle. Car kind of got it a little bit away from him when he was spooling up, but pretty good jump through the last corner, then through turn number 1 as well.
Well, it was interesting. We saw that black Paps racing machine of Juven go to the inside coming through 13. I don't know if you saw that, but you had Josh Green and the 2 cars trailing, Nolan Siego and Michael D'Orlando. They squared that 13 up a little more to get the run onto the straightaway. Juven, obviously antsy, he kind of cut across what would be the dry line, immediately had wheel spin, and I believe he lost a spot to Prescott Campbell there on the restart.
Yeah, it looks like Campbell's jumped up into 4th spot. Good pick up there from Parker Thompson. Juven Sooner Murley trying to get a little bit tighter line through turn number 13 to get on that restart, losing a position before we went to full course yellow. They've been able to get the car of Kent Vaccaro back out onto the racetrack right now, but Kent having trouble getting it into reverse. Ideally getting him refired. We should be able to go, I think we'll probably go one more time around. And again, field just working its way through turns number 4, 5, and 6 now.
This is always a tense time as a race car driver because you're waiting. You know it's going to be quick, and you're waiting for your team to get the call from race control to whether or not you're going green or not. And I know more times than not, you're watching those lights. If we could get the onboard of Eli Navarro, you're watching those lights going, okay, is it going this time? Is it going this time? You know, in the driver's briefing, usually they'll say by turn, in Mid-Ohio Sports Cars case, turn 9, the lights have to be out to be going this time by green flag. So as a driver, you're waiting for those lights to go out. You don't know if you've, in some cases, if it's a dry restart, you don't want to hurt the tire under a restart, getting it hot again. In the wet, doesn't really matter. You should probably just be keeping that thing as hot as you can.
Sure enough. So again, the AMR safety crew finally clearing the action over in turn number 2. We'll hopefully be able to get things back underway again.
Yeah, we just got the call from race control Rob. It's going to be 1 to go at the line. So that gives these drivers a full lap to get the heat built back into those Cooper tires.
Here's your top 10 once again. Josh Green in the number 33 leading the way. Nolan Siego for D-Force Racing in 2nd. Michael D'Orlando for Cape in 4th. And again, the turn 3 driver, Green, leading the way. Prescott Campbell runs 4th. Juven Sooner Murley dropping to 5th. Kiko Porto 6th. Thomas Nepfu in 7th. Spike Kolbecker 8th. Christian Weir 9th. And Dylan Christie in 10th spot. Eli Navarro in that number 1 for D-Force Racing, able to get by Billy Fraser on that last lap to move himself back up to 11th. Fraser in 12th. Bejoy-Gard 13th. Evan Stammer in 14th. Andre Castro into the 15th spot. Josh Pearson 16th. 17th Freyberg. 18th Jackson Lee able to continue. Jace Denmark back onto the racetrack down a lap. He is in 19th. Kent Vaccaro lost a couple laps there. I expect he will tag to the tail of the field. Miles Rowe and Mike Myers, the 2 drivers with damage on the race cars, their days are done.
Somebody that's impressed me in this run, Christian Weir. Rob, tell me some more information on him. I know he's young. Is he not 16 years old?
Yeah, he's a young driver who's coming out of the Audubon Country Club, has done a bunch of karting, of course, as did some F4 racing as well. Made his debut here at the Road to Indy in USF 2000 with Peter Dempsey's operation back at New Jersey Motorsports Park, planning a full Cooper Tires USF 2000 campaign next year. And I think the way he has come out of the gate and how strongly and how maturely he showed at New Jersey Motorsports Park, to see him running now in 9th position, really solid drive for Christian Weir, a name we're going to be talking about next year.
Well, you don't just impress the Dempsey family. Obviously, Cliff and Peter Dempsey, two of the most raw, once race car drivers, now team owners.
Yep.
And Peter said nothing but amazing things about Christian Weir. And I have to say, his first rain race ever here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, to be in 9th ahead of one of his teammates that's full-time there. He's doing a pretty nice little job today.
Yeah, shout out to Turn 3 Motorsports. All three of their drivers currently in the top 10. Green, of course, leading. Second-year driver in the series, Christian Weir in 9th, and Dylan Christie in 10th. Josh Green, 6th place in the points right now, and looking to potentially try to improve, maybe jump up over top of Josh Pearson. He's back by only about 20. Yeah, he'd have to be significantly. Actually, you know what? If he wins here and Pearson finishes down where he is, there's a possibility that he could jump all the way up into 4th in points. So we'll see how things shake down as we're getting ready to come back to green.
So you're telling me there's a chance, right?
There is a chance. That's exactly it. They are separated by, I want to say, 28 points right now. Of course, 30 points on offer. Josh Green with a chance of getting that bonus point as well. And after the incident early, Josh Green back. But he's still on the lead lap. Josh got a chance to get a bunch of points to fight his way back forward. He'll only need a couple of points, maybe 5, 6, 7 points to be able to lock onto P4 in the championship.
Lights are out on the safety car, Rob. The lights are out on those USF 2000 machines, and we are getting ready for the restart.
Let's get back at it. 8 laps will be in the books. I don't think we've really got one even under speed at this point here. It's been all yellow with incidents and back-to-back starts in turn number 2. Looking to hopefully get some laps in. The pace car, of course, is gone. Let's see these drivers work their way out of the carousel turn 12 as it's time to go racing once again. Same exact start and a good jump there. We got a wing flying off, though. Some contact between the top 5 drivers. Someone has lost a front wing. Pick that up. That might be D'Orlando. No, D'Orlando has it. It looks to me like the blue car behind. I think it's Prescott Campbell. I think he's lost the front wing. And that's going to be tough here. Campbell losing the front wing off the car. How much effect will that have in these conditions where you're not going as quick?
Huge.
Park
the car. Yes.
Okay. Huge. Park the car was the quote. And again, running P4 right now, the outside, you can see no front wing for Prescott Campbell. It's been a weekend to forget for the young Californian. Josh Green getting through the opening couple laps. We'll cross our fingers that the guys further back can just get through here and do some laps here now. And there is Kent Vaccaro able to come back on. There's the lead you have now for Josh Green, is finally at speed coming down through turn number 4. And we'll hope to get some laps in here for these drivers in very, very tough conditions. And I would have to think some of the Indy Lights drivers who are going to be on track within the next half hour or so are kind of looking to see what these conditions look like.
Yeah, 100%. They're looking at the spray down the back straight away. They're watching all these USF 2000 drivers. I mean, if you think it looks bad on our CV cameras while you're watching this race, I can tell you it is 10 times worse. You are literally, you cannot see in front of you. You're playing Marco Polo. You're using all your senses.
The peripherals too, right?
Literally. Yeah. You are using all your senses in order to make anything happen, not run into the back of somebody or not get run into the back of.
And here's on board with Eli Navarro, like a bunch of wheel there coming through turn number 6. Navarro putting the pressure right now on Dylan Christie. That's the fight for the top 10. Navarro in the D-Force machine again, the scholarship winner of the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series from 2020. Good to have him with us here this year. It's been a strong season for Eli Navarro, and I expect he'll be much more competitive even next year having this first season under the belt. But look, that's what the visor looks like. And people, we'll tell you this, folks, that kind of water that you have on the front of this camera lens is exactly, Parker, what you have. Are you a guy that likes to wipe away, or do you put the Rain-X on and leave it the way it is?
Doug Thompson, I'll give a shout out to him, my dad, because he taught me that was the first thing you did was you doused that thing in Rain-X. You don't worry about it. You just let the water do its thing.
That's it. You get the Rain-X on there. It will dissipate with the wind, of course, coming to the front of the visor. When you start messing around with your glove, you may have some oil on the glove or whatever it may be, and then it'll start to smudge, and then you find yourself in trouble. Some drivers like to maybe cock open the the visor a little bit to get some air through. It's frowned upon, of course, because it's a little bit of a safety deal, but most helmets nowadays have a lot of air vents, Parker, that allow a lot of air to vent through to try to keep that fogging down.
Well, it's funny, when you run a helmet in a dry, a lot of the times you'll actually heli tape those over.
Yep.
And if any driver forgot that, you will see you can't see their eyeballs. They're all fogged up. So that's when you crack that visor open. It's way better than, I would say it's way less dangerous to have a little crack and be able to see
That's
than
true.
to be fogged
That's
up.
very true. There's Josh Green leading the way nicely as the field streaming its way through 4, 5, and now 6 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Again, hello to those of you tuning in for what will be an afternoon of racing to cap off the 2021 season. I'm Rob Howden, joined by Parker Thompson here in the Road to Indy TV studios. We call the action from the VP Fuels Road to Indy finale weekend, and Josh Green looking to get that first win. This is going to be Josh's last USF 2000 race, too. I believe he'll move to Indy Pro 2000, so what a way to put an exclamation point on a strong 2 years in this first level of this Road to Indy, as he leads the way comfortably right now over a second advantage. Some good racing further back, because it is tough, Parker. This is not an easy place to overtake at all.
No, this place is tough. And to touch on that Josh Green comment, I think, coming in, he was a championship contender.
Indeed.
Everybody thought second year after Cape Motorsports. But to take a team like Turn 3, who hadn't done a year in USF 2000, that was a bold move. And I think to cap off a win with that Turn 3 motorsport crew, there's when we talk about family on the Road to Indy, those guys eat every meal together at the track every night.
They were out here grilling last night.
They were out here grilling last night, and I'm sure the night before that. So I'm sure Peter's going, listen, we got 10 laps left. Let's keep this thing on the track. You're the fastest man on the track. Don't do anything silly.
And it's interesting you bring up the fact that this is their first year in USF 2000. Unlike most teams that come into USF 2000 and then expand into Indy Pro, they started an Indy Pro 2000 program and then just added this USF 2000 program here this year. So all that data was new, everything from starting the program, all brand new. What a way to cap off this year to be able to potentially get this win with Josh Green. He's going to move up to Indy Pro 2000 next year. And then you got young Christian Weir, who's running 7th now, Parker. Christian working his way up to P7. Weir started the race from the 13th spot, up 6 positions. Weir in that 7th spot.
We saw there Andre Castro went through a silhouette in the keyhole. He isn't the first and he won't be the last, but it's good for him, as we touched on, Team USA scholarship for 2021. It's good for him to be getting some wet weather, because going over for the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy, I would say there is a 100% chance of rain with a
100% chance. More instance here in turn number 5. That's a wing lost for one of the turn 3 cars for sure.
I hope we didn't commentators curse
That
young
might have been
Weir.
Christian Weir. In terms of where they are on the racetrack, I do too. Let's cross our fingers, but we'll see what happens.
And another wing off of a D-Force car. I don't know if that's Prescott still out there.
He's still out there running P5. He's not parking the car like you told him. Let's give you a full field rundown, folks, when they come across. Let's hold on to this camera angle here. We'll watch them come across the line. So there is, of course, Josh Green, Nolan Siego. This is Michael D'Orlando and Kiko Porto, who are second and first respectively in the points. Porto, of course, your champion. This is P5. No wing on the front of the car for Prescott Campbell. Then we've got Yuvan Sundaramurthy, Christian Weir, and Eli Navarro now up to 8th. That might have been Dylan Christie who lost the wing and came on the racetrack. So then it's Eli Navarro 8th, Thomas Nepfu, I believe. No, Spike Kolbecker's worked his way to 9th as we have a driver off on the exit of turn number 6.
Full
or
course,
5.
Yeah, full course yellow, Rob. So that's, if I'm Prescott Campbell, now that I haven't chosen to come into the pits, now would probably be a good time. I think you might see that team, 5th.
I don't think he does. I think he stays exactly where he is. There's 11 laps down. This is going to be an easy fix with this driver here. If this is the only incident we're watching here on the exit of turn number 5, they'll be able to get this guy back on the racetrack, unless, of course, there's damage. And I believe that that might be one of the Jay Howard driver development entries based on some of the coloring on the car. Parker, would you say?
Yes, that is a Jay Howard driver development entry, number 6.
Okay, so that'll be Bajoy Gar. Yeah, indeed, Bajoy falling down to the tail of the field right now. So the issue, I think, was trying to pick up which drivers. Dylan Christie maybe was the driver who went off over in turn number 4, came back on in turn 5. So we'll press the reset button when we come around here. Of course, the AMR safety team going to work to try to pull this car out of the grass.
So to give fans a rundown, obviously 20 laps is the length of the race, but it's on a 30 or 35-minute
30-minute window, yeah.
A 30-minute window. So essentially what that means is we could see it become a time limit race. We've got just over 10 minutes left for time remaining.
So a 40-minute window for this one, which is good. We have 10 more minutes remaining.
Perfect. So 10 more minutes remaining, but to get 9 laps in the wet, it doesn't look like my elementary math is
Right.
I'm thinking it's going to be a time race.
So that could be it. We could be watching the remaining time. If we do that, there are 9 laps remaining, but 10 minutes to go. So indeed, turning lap times around the 150s. We're definitely not going to go all 9 laps. So this is going to come down to a time race, as Parker had said. Josh Green now is your leader. Nolan Siego runs in second. Michael D'Orlando third. Kiko Porto fourth. The wingless Prescott Campbell in fifth spot. Yuvan Sundermurthy sixth. Christian Weir, tremendous run for Christian in seventh. Same goes for Eli Navarro as he runs in eighth. Spike Kohlbecker up to ninth. And Josh Pearson, who fell all the way down to 17th or 18th, has fought his way back up to 10th. And that will very likely be enough. Even with Josh Green leading, it's going to be enough for Pearson to hold on to fourth, I believe, in the championship. Yeah, 10th place in points for Josh Pearson will put him at 287 points. If Josh Green wins, yeah, he's not going to be able to be 278. So where he runs on the racetrack right now, Josh Pearson holding on to P4.
Well, what a recovery for Josh Pearson.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
So behind Pearson in 10th, Thomas Nepveux 11th, Dylan Christie 12th, Billy Fraser 13th, Andre Castro 14th, 15th is Jackson Lee, 16th is Trey Burke.
And it's I just got the call from race control green this time by.
Oh, I like it. So, well, the AMR safety crew really just has to back up into their position coming out of turn number 5 there. So, yeah, we'll go back to green flag racing. By the time they get around 8, maybe 7, 8 minutes set to go. And again, some insight as well from Steve Whittick from Trackside Online and TSOladder.com. As they run on the racetrack, Spike Kohlbecker would win the Rookie of the Year championship as well. He was in a fight with Thomas Nepveux and Jace Denmark really coming into the finale here. So Kohlbecker would be the Rookie of the Year as they run on the racetrack. Still 8 minutes remaining as Kohlbecker runs in the 9th spot, Nepveux in 11th, and Jace Denmark a lap down in 18th.
One of my stars of the race, obviously, Prescott Campbell. He's staying out without the front wing. He has proved me wrong. I would say that car would not be very drivable, but obviously my 3 years recently in Indy Pro, I would say it affects an Indy Pro car possibly a little more than a USF.
And that's one of the things that changed to the new car back in 2017, this Tatus. We took away a lot of the aero downforce to try to get rid of that aero wash, put a lot more mechanical downforce in the race car. So if you lose that front wing, you're definitely going to lose some of the balance, but again, as they're kind of just rolling on the throttle, obviously not as much indication in terms of having some issues. But listen, good run for Prescott Campbell. Same goes, I think, there's for, Dylan Christie right there as well in front of Billy Fraser does not have the front wing. So 2 drivers out there, one for D-Force, one for Turn 3 Motorsport without that front wing. Drivers coming back around. We expect to see them go back to green here. The pace car will head on off. 7 minutes remaining. Probably somewhere around 3 or 4 laps at the most is what we're going to get here. So we'll come up about 3 or 4, 5 laps short. Josh Green trying to finish it all off here with 7 minutes to go. Once again, getting the car turned, back on the throttle. Another good jump on Nolan Siego. See if Siego can get it. One driver into pit lane. I think that might have been Dylan Christie potentially coming in to get that new wing. Prescott Campbell not pulling out from P5. Drivers now working their way again through turn number 1. Field spread out nicely here. Single file restart. Josh Green with a pretty good jump there on Nolan Siego. He'll run right the middle of the racetrack here now, though. Try to keep that spray into the face and the visor of Nolan Siego if possible. Looks to me like Prescott Campbell. Kiko Porto's got her. Oh, there's more contact. Contact again as I believe Josh Pearson getting into Navarro. Pearson going to the bottom of the racetrack. There's your shot there. The 8-second delay giving us the shot. Pearson into the left rear and the whole right side. Look at Eli Navarro. Can't believe what just happened. Turned into the corner. And I believe that is Josh Pearson, the Pabst Racing entry. That, I believe, is going to finish it. That is actually one of the turn 3 cars. That might be Weir as well.
Oh, it is Weir.
Christian
32.
Weir had this great run going. Navarro's going to try to pull off. We've only got 5.5 minutes left. I got to think this will probably end the race.
It's going to be really close to it,
There's
Rob.
no way. Yeah, if there's damage at all to these cars and somebody has to go on the hook, that will be it.
I don't think the right rear of that Pabst Racing machine is broken. They might be able to tow them out, but again, we're on the clock. 5 minutes, 35 seconds. We got a replay coming up here, though.
Let's have a look at it. So, again, coming into turn number 2, keep an eye. Oh, this is actually the Navarro replay right on board. He's just turned in. He has no idea what's going on. He gets a shot in the left rear. We actually picked it up as well. So let's have another look at it as he's turning into the corner. Parker, you walk us through it.
Yeah, well, he was on the outside. Obviously, he was doing that rim shot as we talked about. And the Pabst Racing Machine, I literally went through this, that you've got to do most of your passing before you get to the corner. You can't really outbreak people in the rain. And there you look. He tried to go up the inside. He went across that rubber, didn't go across it straight. He's trying to break across it, and that's a pretty big hit. Like, you watch that camera move, it's a good thud.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. I'm trying to thinking about winning the race with the most laps led. He doesn't have the fast lap right now. 279 points potentially for Josh Green. Where's Josh Pearson going to finish? Josh is going to fall down the order here as they're going to come back around the line. We got to find out where Josh. That incident potentially could have cost him fourth in the championship. We'll see what happens here. We had talked about Josh coming from 17th back up to 10th, but the incident now, granted, coming across the line, again, we'll see as they reset here because there's still 4 minutes to go. They're going to try to pull. I feel horrible for Christian Weir, who had a really good run going. Obviously, Navarro was able to get by him coming into the corner. They'll pull these cars back. Once we get by across the line again, we'll be able to get the reset.
Well, and I feel bad. I get the sense he was probably a little bit of a deer in the headlights. He saw that the Pabst car was right on the edge of the track. It doesn't take much to wander over there. And as soon as your eyes lift up and watch something else, not the apex of the corner, you tend to go where your eyes are.
If we can get the replay of the actual camera from that corner, we saw the incident happening very briefly. Then we transitioned over. No chance to get that, so that's a shame. Field coming through to see the carnage left in turn number 2, and I'll tell you the keyhole has been definitely a wrecking yard for our USF 2000 drivers. Those guys having so much trouble getting through. As they come back around, again, waiting kind of for things to settle down here to see where everybody's going to slot in terms of points.
Josh Pearson 6th.
Now, is that so? Was that not? We thought, that was Yuvan Sundaramurthy maybe involved in that incident.
Yes.
We thought it was Josh. That's Yuvan who made the dive bomb move into the inside, getting in the back. Yuvan's going to try to get this thing refired. We got about 3 minutes remaining. I don't think we're going back to green. They're going to try to get the car there of Weir started. They've been able to pull the car of Navarro out. He's able to continue.
I have hope.
Maybe one lap?
I have hope one lap.
I like one lap. Let's see what we can do. They've done it before. Do whatever we can to get that one final lap in. They're going to try to get this car of – now it's Yuvan Sundaramurthy. Where did Yuvan come from for him to fall all the way back to the point where he was battling with the guys that were running 7th, 8th, and 9th?
Yeah, I know.
Well, they pulled us out. If we want to get another replay potentially of the in-car with Eli Navarro, the V-Box Motorsport in-car camera giving us a great shot at everything that's been happening here. And you can just see, if you look at the hands, Parker, of Eli Navarro as well, he's literally running the outside line, that rain line already turned in, and then the contact comes, and actually the steering wheel shot out of his hands as that car spun around and ended up backwards. Here it is here.
Well, and watch the rear view camera because you can see Christian Weir right there, actually. And again, just kind of a victim of circumstance. He watched those two cars go off, and I guarantee he probably just followed them off.
Yeah, let's watch it again, guys, and just key nothing but on the rear view camera. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
What we're going to see here.
So Eli turning in for the corner as he should, and then Josh obviously late on the brakes.
It's Yuvan, I think,
yeah,
right?
Excuse me, Yuvan. But there's Christian Weir at a safe distance back, and he's seeing all this go on and go,
nowhere to go.
Nowhere to
Zero, nowhere to go. He just got collected. There's nothing he could do. And again, Parker, talk about this a bit. Once you've turned into the corner and you've started the arc of the corner in the wet like that, you can't just add more steering input and get through. The car's going to loop around the minute you do that.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. I personally think it was, again, the deer in
Porto in third, Michael D'Orlando fourth, Prescott Campbell fifth with no wing. Josh Pearson, we thought, because he was right behind that. Josh actually literally probably snuck through on the inside. He is able to hold on to fourth in the championship. Spike Kohlbecker in seventh. Thomas Nepfu eighth. Billy Fraser in ninth. 10th is Andre Castro. And unofficially as well, it'll be Spike Kohlbecker as the Rookie of the Year for 2021 in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship.
Congratulations to Spike. Congratulations to Kiko Porto. And great job to our top three in the championship, Kiko Porto, Michael D'Orlando. And as Yuvan, I'm almost guaranteed that he's locked into third. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Rob?
he's got things locked into third position. He had a significant advantage over Josh Pearson. Rough way to finish. We would love to have had this thing go to the end. Josh Green, though, defending on multiple restarts, so adding a little bit of an exclamation point, a good performance in the wet. Green with the victory. Siegel second, Porto third. That'll be your podium. D'Orlando, as we said, in fourth. We'll go through a full field rundown for you. Campbell fifth, Pearson 6th, Spike Kohlbecker in 7th, Thomas Nepfu 8th, Billy Fraser 9th, and Andre Castro rounding out your top 10. Evan Stammer ends up in 11th spot, Jackson Lee in 12th, Trey Burke 13th, Dylan Christie no wing as well in 14th. Only 14 drivers on the lead lap. Jace Denmark, Kent Vaccaro, Bejoy Garg, and Eli Navarro all down one lap, as was Juven Sundaramurthy. Christian Weir, Miles Rowe, and Michael Myers capping off the 22 drivers. Not the way you want to end the season in USF 2000, but the bottom line is this. When it's all said and done, you look at the record books. Josh Green with a victory, Kiko Porter with a championship.
Well, and Rob, I look at things on the positive side. You've got to get this USF 2000 crop introduced to the wet.
That's it.
And we've done that this year. We did that at New Jersey Motorsports Park. They put on what I thought was one of the best races of the year. And we did that here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. You don't want to be in Indy Lights like Kyle Kirkwood without rain experience at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
I'll head down to Taglis Victory Lane. Of course, lots more racing to come here, folks, on Road to Indy TV. Indy Lights and Indy Pro, their final races of the 2021 season still to come. And we'll head down to Victory Lane to celebrate with Josh Green, the winner here in the final race for USF 2000.
Here is a bit of wisdom from your Uncle Cooper. Tires exist on a spectrum. On one end, you got too much tire. On the other, you don't get enough. Both ends are rip-offs. You're either paying for more than you need or needing more even after you pay. So if you want a tire that costs what tires should cost and does what tires should do, go right for the sweet spot. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
At TopCon, we know a thing or two about a smooth surface. Roads and highways, piece of cake. Airports, let's just say it'll be the smoothest landing you've ever had. But what about when you want to go fast? Real fast? No, faster. We've helped cars go faster than they've ever gone before. Broken a few lap records along the way. Want the best paving performance? Go to the source. TopCon, always one step ahead.
karting and motorsport enthusiasts. Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road to life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Here is a bit of wisdom from your Uncle Cooper. Tires exist on a spectrum. On one end, you got too much tire. On the other, you don't get enough. Both ends are rip-offs. You're either paying for more than you need or needing more even after you pay. So if you want a tire that costs what tires should cost and does what tires should do, go right for the sweet spot. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
At TopCon, we know a thing or two about a smooth surface. Roads and highways, piece of cake. Airports, let's just say it'll be the smoothest landing you've ever had. But what about when you want to go fast? Real fast. No, faster. We've helped cars go faster than they've ever gone before. Broken a few lap records along the way. Want the best paving performance? Go to the source. TopCon, always one step ahead.
karting and motorsport enthusiasts. Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road to life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Courses. We're getting set to fire things up here for Indy Lights, the final race for Indy Lights here under the Anderson Promotions Group. Dan joining me here. He'll give us the command to fire. But before we do that, because we're jumping right into it, let's have a look at the grid of 12 drivers getting set to go for this last race of the season. It's going to be a tremendous battle for sure for the drivers here in this particular program. Tough conditions like we have not yet seen. Starting on row number 6 on the outside will be the number 11 of Antonio Saravalli for P. Sarah Racing. Inside of that row for Carlin, the number 7 of Christian Bogle. We'll go now to row number 5 on the outside. This is a guy I think you want to keep your eye on, the 26 of Linus Lundqvist, getting ready to work his way forward. Rather, hold on, I've got the wrong results here, of course. There we go. Let's start it again. Christian Bogle and Antonio Saravalli still on the tail of the field. We were running back up here, folks, from doing the introductions and the podium presentation for USF 2000. Row number 5 will have Manuel Suleiman in the HMD Motorsports number 59 starting in 10th. Inside of that row, the 68 of Daniel Frost. Row number 4, both drivers from Hunko's Hollinger Racing. I think they were much quicker in the drive, but I expect to see them to work their way forward here. Both drivers with significant time in the wet. Stingray Robb at Idaho in the number 2. And Rasmus Lint in the number 51. Former teammates as well at Hunko's Racing in the Indy Pro 2000 category. They'll start 7th and 8th respectively on row number 4. Row 3 will have Robert McGinnis in the number 27 on the outside for Andretti Autosport. And on the inside, his teammate Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28. Kyle only needs to finish in the top 11, I believe, to be able to win the championship. David Malukas has to have a perfect day here. Watch for Kirkwood to try to run super cleanly throughout this race to get himself a finish anywhere at mid-pack. Row number 2 now, starting 4th, Devlin DeFrancesco on the outside of row number 2 in the number 17. He will start 4th. Benjamin Peterson should be interesting to watch for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports. Peterson out of Seattle, Washington in the number 24, starting in the 3rd position. Dirtfish is the sponsor. He's done some rally racing. This could be an interesting day for Benjamin Peterson. 12 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. Again, as I said before, I had the wrong list. Linus Lundqvist, the driver I think we're going to see be very quick here in the wet in the number 26. The driver for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports. I expect him to battle it out, but the driver looking to get a perfect day. Qualified on the pole. The only way he wins the championship right now is to lead every lap and get the race win. Then he relies on what happens to Kyle Kirkwood. That's Chicago, Illinois' David Malukas in the number 79. He'll start on the pole position, a 146.787, and what were absolutely treacherous qualifying conditions. Again, that field getting ready to go here now. Moments away, still from the start, just over a minute, I believe, from the start of our event here. Jim Swintel, Race Control, joining me in the studio to make sure we get this done correctly. Malukas and Lundqvist will be on row number 1. Peterson and DeFrancesco on row 2. Kirkwood and McGinnis on row 3. Lint and Robb row 4. Frost and Suleiman row 5. Saravalli and Bogle on row number 6. And I don't think no surprise at all the fact that the drivers in Indy Lights keeping a careful eye on the racetrack for USF 2000, because the bottom line is this. The track is not changed as much from the morning, a little bit more grip, but we see a lot of spray out there for sure. 30 seconds to go, so let's come back to the studio shot here right now as Dan Anderson, the CEO of Anderson Promotions, joins me. Obviously, it's been a great run with the stewardship of Indy Lights for the last number of years. Of course, Anderson taking over back in 2014. Dan, it's been a great run for sure for you. We're about ready to start things up here again. Indy Lights heading back to IndyCar stewardship. We thank everyone for all their support, and it's time to go racing. Dan, the command to fire the last Indy Lights race under the Anderson Promotions regime.
Thank you, Rob. It's been a great run, and we wish all the best to Indy Lights going forward and IndyCar's management. We will be rooting for these kids as they move into IndyCar. Gentlemen, start your Indy Lights engines.
And there you go, folks. Engines coming to life down there on pit lane. Dan Anderson, thank you so much. Of course, Dan has done so much for this Road to Indy program and Indy Lights as well. You're here right now. I'll ask you a couple of quick questions. It is amazing, as the drivers, of course, starting engines. We're going to get a chance to see the careers of so many drivers that have come through the entire Road to Indy who are now in IndyCar and maybe in IndyCar in the next number of years.
It's fun, and I love watching IndyCar races with all the people that have come through over the last 10 or 12 years. Lately, it's been really successful. The kids graduating from the Road to Indy have done extremely well on their first and second years. The program's working, and we'll see it again. The kids this year have been very competitive. I expect great things from them. Kyle Kirkwood's been amazing. He's been a champion every step of the way. David Malukas, they're all going to do great.
It's kind of like we've seen a couple of these guys. It's always like two drivers, right? It's Colton Herta and Pato.
Yep.
They had that battle. Then we've got Renus and Oliver, and now we've got David Malukas and Kyle Kirkwood. And I think one of the beautiful things is we really have, you're turning the Indy Lights program back to IndyCar, but we've done so with a ton of momentum. We're talking about 2-3 more teams next year, maybe 15 to 18 drivers. It feels to me like the work that we've done over the last couple of years really has paid off.
And we'll continue to do it. With the Indy Pro 2000 moving into Indy Lights, we'll still graduate people into Indy Lights, USF 2000 into Indy Pro, and now with the USF Juniors as an entry level before you get to the Road to Indy. I think it's all going to be great. Agreed,
and that's exactly what's going to happen, folks. Indy Pro 2000, those drivers that we will continue to groom for years to come, making their way up to Indy Lights and then into the NTT IndyCar Series. Drivers have worked their way around the racetrack right now. We'll let Dan Anderson get himself back to race control. We'll bring Parker Thompson back in here as well.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it. And Dan giving us the call to fire up the engines both Saturday and Sunday, race 1 and race 2. Dan, of course, will take up his spot, as he always does, in race control to oversee the action. Parker Thompson getting the headset back on to join me here once again. And, Parker, this could be very interesting because we have not seen a race this year with this kind of conditions. There are 450 horsepower behind every one of these drivers. You've driven an Indy Lights car before. I'm not sure if it's been in the rain. This cannot be easy.
Definitely wasn't in the wet. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers handle that. And a lot of pressure. You know, it's not over till the Fat Lady sings, Rob, and the Fat Lady hasn't sung for Kyle Kirkwood yet. You know, I know he's starting 5th. He has to finish 12th, essentially, and David Malukas has to win. But you look at Malukas, he was fast in the wet. I mean, if you win the race, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to get the most laps led point. So you can almost hand that to him if Malukas has a clean race. And it is a lot easier to have a clean race at the front than it is to have it in 5th.
Yeah, isn't this crazy right now to think the fact that the run we've had from Kyle Kirkwood, it is not done yet. If something should happen to him on the opening lap, anything could happen in racing, right? And he finishes last, and Malukas could still steal this away.
Now, you have to say there's 3 other Andretti Autosport cars out there. I don't want to get any conspiracy theories going, but the two biggest teams, HMD Motorsports with Global Racing Group and Andretti Autosport, they've got 3 bullets in the gun each. Well, I guess Global actually at 2 bullets in the gun with HMD Motorsports. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the team tactics play out. I mean, I think from what I've been told, you can almost guarantee that David will see no
Challenge
at the front.
No.
And then, you look at Andretti Autosport, you've got Devlin DeFrancesco there qualifying ahead of Kyle Kirkwood. Does he challenge Kyle? Probably not a lot. Kyle's surrounded by his teammates there. I don't think he'll see any trouble. So really, it's in Kyle's court to lose. He's got to get through the first lap, and then I think we'll probably see somebody drop out. And that is the kicker right there. If somebody else drops out of this race to take 12th position, 12 out of 12,
that's it.
Kyle has got it in the bag. He's got to finish one more lap than whoever drops out.
Yeah, indeed. If we have one retirement, that will be the end of it for sure for David Malukas. He, of course, has what he can do in his hand. He's qualified on the pole. If he can lead here all the laps, or at least the most laps, to be able to get the race win, he'll do everything he possibly can.
So let me ask you this, Rob. I've never known this. 2 drivers go off, one being Kyle Kirkwood, somebody else being not in the championship. They go off on the first lap. Does it go to where they cross the start-finish line, or does it go to what car made it further around the track if said position happens?
Well, I'm not the race director, so I'm not sure, knowing that we don't have as many timing lines as we normally do when IndyCar race control is here. I would make the assumption that we would go back to the last completed lap, but I don't know about that. That's not something that I have here. We'd have to ask Tony Cottman about that. We'll see if that comes into play. But regardless, difficult conditions, and I think that's what opens up to this question, right? Because the conditions are so difficult, you don't know what's going to happen here on track.
Well, and if I'm Kyle Kirkwood, I'm going, if I make contact with somebody in front of me, I'm screwed because they cross the start-finish theoretically ahead of me.
Yeah, that's true.
But if somebody makes contact with me, it's no big deal because we both sit out and
that's true.
I cross the start-finish line ahead of him. No harm, no foul. I get my 11th place finish, which grants me one more point, which would be the second time he's done that in the history of his Road to Indy career.
That's it. There's an opportunity for him, depending on how things shake down, to win this championship by only 1 point. That's how close it is. David Malukas, like I said, though, folks, has done everything he needed to do, and that was win the pole position for race number 2. And indeed, in these kind of conditions, if you're able to get out front and you have a good feel for your race car and be able to pull away, you could eventually lead all 30 laps and come away with that race win, the full points of 32 markers. You can't expect that you're going to see Linus Lundqvist or Benjamin Peterson, even if they have the speed, to potentially be able to go by.
100%, Rob.
Yeah.
And just like we saw in USF 2000, it's going to be a single-file race start for the Premier Series on the Road to Indy here in Indy Lights.
So drivers working their way out of turn number 9 down into Thunder Valley. That pace car will speed up to get away from them to allow them to have that open start. And we'll see the pace car kind of work their way up here once we move to the next shot. There it is there, the pace car working from the left of the screen through the carousel. Turn number 12 will stay high on the racetrack. No, back around the racetrack again, so we're going to go one more time around. One more time. It'll be the white flag at the line to get things underway.
Now, did I miscount that, Rob? That could have totally been on me. I thought that was second time by.
I did too.
Okay, all right. Well, then if it trumped us both, then I'm fine with that.
Well, we had a lot going on here right now. Danny Anderson coming to join us here. I pulled up the wrong race start to get things underway. A little bit discombobulated for the start, but we've settled in. And again, one more lap around for the drivers here who are ready to roll for what will be the last race of the 2021 Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tire season. And having Dan on here, the final year that Indy Lights will be part of the Andrew Promotions component of this Road to Indy. We wish the best to everyone at IndyCar, those that will take up station in the positions, race control, marketing, PR, whatever it may be, to take the stewardship of this tremendous program, which we're proud to have watched so many great drivers. You go back to the earlier days when Anderson had it, 2014, 2015, with Jack Harvey, Ed Jones, Max Chilton coming in the year with Carlin in 2015 when the new race car was brought in. And then we go, as I said, to some of these awesome rivalries we've had that have kind of seen those drivers move forward. The Colton Herta and Pato Award year, Oliver Askew versus Renus VK, and now this year, of course, Kyle Kirkwood versus David Malukas. Both of you, I think, expecting that we're going to see both those drivers moving their way into IndyCar next year.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the battle takes on. An interesting note, last night we went to the Ohio State Reformatory Prison that nobody told me. I thought it was a Cooper Tires event that did a tour prison. It was a haunted house, a professional haunted house that went through a real-life haunted prison. David Malukas was the only brave soul out of all the RTI drivers to show up to that.
All right.
And he went through it with me. So if I'm sure he's going, you know what, driving in the rain here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course can't be scarier than doing the haunted house with Parker.
That's fun. He was scared fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. So, again, folks, the final warm-up lap of the 2021 season that will go green this time by David Malukas alongside his teammate Linus Lundqvist. And he won't be alongside, actually. It'll be nose to tail. As Parker had said, it'll be a single-file start. So Malukas on the front, Linus Lundqvist there in second. Third, Benjamin Peterson. Fourth, Devlin DeFrancesco. Fifth, Kyle Kirkwood. Sixth will be Robert McGinnis. Seventh and eighth, the two Juncos Hollinger drivers, Rasmus Lint and Stingray Robb. Ninth, Daniel Frost. 10th, Manuel Suleiman. 11th, Antonio Saravalli. And 12th, Christian Bogle. Field getting set. The grip level's low, as we saw in USF 2000. It'll be all about getting away cleanly here for David Malukas. Same for Kyle Kirkwood. He only needs to finish in the top 11 to win this championship. If Malukas ends up going for the race win or coming up to the start, you can look to me like Lundqvist getting ready to push hard. And we are underway. Green flag racing. Look at the three HMD cars pull away. Kirkwood going to dive to the inside a little bit. He's surrounded by his teammates.
Malukas.
One driver off. That's David Malukas off the racetrack. Malukas overcooks into turn number one. He will continue. And with Malukas off the track, potentially stuck, he's trying to get out of the gravel trap in the far part there. I don't know that he's going to be able to get out of the gravel trap at this point. So David Malukas could be stuck in the beach of turn number one. Nope. Crawling his way back further there. I think he was able to get back. Parker, once things settle in, we'll ask to see if we can't go back to the replay there. But right now, Linus Lundqvist has pulled out front, Peterson into second, DeFrancesco third, and I think that's Kyle Kirkwood, P4. That could be it for the championship right there. David Malukas needed to win with all the laps led. I believe if that's him off the racetrack, this is done.
Wow, if you're Kyle Kirkwood, I mean, that one got sat right on your lap as you drive by.
Is that something that you would have called? I personally would have not. I thought Malukas would have been clean through turn number one, not even pressured, but he was pressured hard from behind by Lundqvist.
Well, it's not about the pressure behind, it's about the championship. You do different things when that weighs on your shoulders. And unfortunately, you know, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, you make one wrong step here in the wet, and it's like you hit a banana peel in Mario Kart. You spin out, you're off. And, wow, you know, we saw 2020, I believe, the wet race at Indy Pro that I was a part of. All the leaders went off in the first lap just like that as well. It looks like Kyle Kirkwood has made some hay while the sun shines. I want to say he's in second or third.
Yeah, full course yellow coming out right now. Full course yellow on the opening lap, and the absolute craziness has happened. David Malukas, looks like we could potentially have a driver off down in turn number 4 as well. Somebody's off in turn 4. The AMR safety team has gone to turn number 4 as well. As we said, David Malukas off in turn number 1. Maybe we'll get a chance to see that replay. Hopefully we can. Being told that might be Antonio Saravalli off in turn number 4 on that opening circuit. But Parker, I'm a little bit at a loss for words as the transition from that shot coming down into turn number 1 and then a shot we have on the exit of the corner to see that car of Malukas all the way off the racetrack and then try to get out of the gravel trap. I don't know what to say right now. It just absolutely blows me away. He actually comes across the line. Malukas now in the 10th position, but he needed to lead every lap to get an opportunity to get this done. Having fallen to the tail of the field, this championship is Kyle Kirkwood's.
Well, he needed to lead the most laps, which is over the halfway point in order to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a big blow. I'm sure as we're lost for words, Malukas was lost for words going through the gravel trap, too. It's one of those things that happens so quick. Good on him to get out of the gravel trap. That would have been a pretty embarrassing way to lose a championship, being stuck in the gravel trap after starting on pole. But it's just one of those deals, Rob. You can't fault him. I mean, yeah, he made a mistake. Yeah, it wasn't probably a mistake you thought a championship competitor would make, but I think that goes right back to he's in the battle for a championship. There's the replay.
No, we'll get the replay
we're going to get up.
Yeah, they're setting it up for us here right now, this replay. And you're right, it's not something you would have figured. Let's have a look. We're going to get a partial replay here, folks, of what happened. This is essentially him after coming through turn. Yeah, he's already off the racetrack, has overcooked it. Good on him for keeping the thing going in the right direction, as you said, keeping enough throttle in it not to spin the tires and get bogged down. And again, there's that replay there. That's about as much as we can see. You can see the other two guys have been able to make the corner and just overcooking it, trying to carry too much speed into one.
Well, what that tells you, you see how early he was off the track and into the gravel trap. You know, he went off super early. You can see that darker grass.
Yep.
That's where he went through the grass. So he was off, not even at the apex of the corner. He's off on the entry.
So
too much speed, too cold of tires.
Lock the brakes up potentially coming in there, you think?
Yeah, probably, but it got to the point where the tire will only do 100% of what you ask it. So if you're in the middle of the corner and you're still trying to slow the car down and turn the car, your lock is so much more able to happen when you're asking the tire to do a lateral and brake the car versus just doing one or the other.
Some really great insight for those of you with winter coming and don't realize that, and that's about it. The tire can only do 100% of either braking, turning, or acceleration. There's only so much, so if you're asking for more acceleration, you're not going to get the turning. Same thing as if you're driving a car and in the snow and you're on the brakes and you're turned, it's not going anywhere. You have to let off the brakes, right, for the car to be able to turn.
Well, and think about this, Rob. I take it back to everybody knows what their footprint looks like because most people have seen their footprint in the mud. Now, you take these Cooper tires, and you've got 4 Cooper tires that are touching the ground. The 2 in the rear have to put power down, and then the 2 in the front have to steer the car. But you are asking a footprint. So when you put these Cooper tires on the ground, the only part that's actually making contact with the pavement is a part about what an average human's footprint is. Wow. So you have 4 footprints that have to put down 450 horsepower and turn this car around this track in the wet for an Indy Lights race. It just kind of puts it into perspective. You know, I'm sure everybody on the broadcast has slipped and fell down once in their life. I sure have. And that was with 1 human horsepower that I slipped and fell down with. You know, you think about this Indy Lights car, it really puts it into perspective how much you're asking out of these Cooper tires.
Let's have a look at that field as we're going to go, I believe, green this time by. Linus Lundqvist taking over the lead. Benjamin Peterson into second. Devlin DeFrancesco third. Kyle Kirkwood now into 4th spot. Stingray Robb in 5th. Rasmus Lint runs 6th. Daniel Frost 7th. Robert McGinnis in 8th. Manuel Suleiman 9th. David Malukas in 10th. Christian Bogle in 11th. And Antonio Serravalle down a couple of laps, having gone off in turn number 4. He was the one that actually brought out the full course yellow. He wouldn't have had that had it not been because David Malukas was able to get back onto the track. This is going to allow Malukas to potentially work his way forward, but as we have said, he needed to lead the most laps, at least 16 of the 30, to potentially score this championship, and that's not going to happen for Malukas, which again, passing this lead over to Kyle Kirkwood. Drivers now coming out of the carousel. Linus Lundqvist will lead them back to the line. He'll punch on the throttle, and we are back to racing to put lap 4 in the books. Green flag.
Already had a spinner there coming through turn 13. Just shows how treacherous it is. But the 2 Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports cars out to a great jump.
Stingray Robb able to work his way up to P5. We talked about a driver potentially looping it around. Here's the first run at speed for Lundqvist now down into turn number 2 as he will lead it going to the outside line as we've talked about throughout the day. Little different line to the bottom for Kyle Kirkwood holding on to that position. Look at Stingray Robb around the outside of Devlin DeFrancesco. I think Stingray potentially has gone to P4.
Very nice for Stingray Robb. Bit of a redemption from yesterday. I think he needs that.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood now up into the 3rd position. There he is, P3. Here's the battle between Robb and DeFrancesco. Devlin holding on to the spot. He's running the bottom. Stingray Robb up on the top. And a little indication right there of that particular shot, how tough it is to see.
Oh, it's incredibly tough to see, Rob, as we've covered. It's getting a little better for the Indy Lights guys, but even the top rung of the road to Indy, they're making mistakes. Looks like we've got Manuel Suleiman off.
Yep. Another full course yellow. Manuel Suleiman off the racetrack of the number 59.
I want to say that was coming to the start, coming to 13, through 13.
Yeah, you mentioned the driver had spun around. Sounds like that might have been the 59 of Manuel Suleiman. That would be on the outside of turn number 13, the inside of the racetrack, coming back over to that left-hander, looped it around, and potentially went off track. So the Telcel-sponsored HMD Motorsports driver off in turn 13.
So we look at the field. If you're Kyle Kirkwood, there's a lot of thoughts going through your head. I saw Antonio Serravalle pull into the pits. Not sure if that's terminal or not. But now it's looking like there's going to be enough cars out of this race. David Malukas nowhere near the front to get that extra lap bonus point. How aggressive do you think Kyle Kirkwood is chasing those 2 orange pumpkin-colored Global Racing Group with HMD cars?
At $1.3 million to just get to the checkered flag, I don't think that Kyle Kirkwood pushes that hard. I think there's an opportunity to potentially go for the win. I think if one driver is out for sure and he knows that they're done and the driver's out of the car and not coming back out, I think that maybe you push hard. Maybe you try to go for the win to put the exclamation point. Remember, he's trying to break the record as well in terms of race wins. He's tied now for 10 wins in a single season in Indy Lights with the late great Greg Moore. So he'd love win number 11, but I think taking care of $1.3 million in that scholarship is probably first and foremost.
Well, definitely first and foremost, but obviously I think if he's a betting man, he's going, okay, I've got it. But he's got to prove that he can drive in the wet. That's one thing that a lot of IndyCar teams, I feel like they'll put a lot of merit on.
All right.
Is if he can't drive in the wet, that's going to be scary when you get to an IndyCar ride.
Yeah, indeed. Again, you balance that. Does he drive with his head at this point? If he knows he's got things locked down, if we know that Antonio Saravalli is not coming back out onto the racetrack, or if he's gone back to the point where even if he retired, he wouldn't finish last, I think that would be fine. As you know, you said, wherever David Malukas is obviously changes it as well. And to be honest, once we get by the halfway point as well, and there's not a chance for Malukas to somehow get back up front, mathematically it's not going to happen, but Kirkwood could potentially then, if he wanted, attack and try to go for a race win. That would be the exclamation point, as I said. What a way to finish if he's able to get by both these guys and win.
That would be the one exclamation point, as you said, to decimate the field here in Indy Lights, is to put a cap on his 2021 season. And really, you're hearing rumors that he might not have a full-time ride next year in IndyCar. I think if he goes out and wins this, how do you not get the kid in IndyCar?
Well, I don't know how you do it already, having won the 10 races that he has, 7 poles. He's been on the podium 14 times this year. The simple string of races that he has had when he turned things around and swept at Detroit. Only one race from Detroit has he not finished first or second. He finished 12th after the issue at Road America. We're going to go back to green here right now. This is like the first time he's running P3 right now. He's always been in first or second. We're not said and done yet. He'll get a good start, as will the front-runner Linus Lundqvist, as he looks to get another win. Lundqvist, 2 races victorious early in the season, has not yet had that third win. It could come here today on the very wet track at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Final race of the season for the Indy Lights program. Rob Howden alongside Parker Thompson here in the Road to Indy studio as we provide coverage here from Mid-Ohio. Much different racing line. You can see the 2 HMD cars. Parker working the top line, that rim shot, as you said, around the outside. Down the inside, though, trying to hook the inside of the corner. Looks like Kyle Kirkwood trying something a bit different. Yeah,
but look at that lead that Linus Lundqvist has got. I'm going, okay, I think he's doing a pretty good traditional rim shot there. We'll see. Obviously, I've heard that there's that concrete patch has a lot of grip, actually, that new one that they just put in for 2021. So we'll see different drivers. I see the Andretti Autosport guys playing with it. But at the same time, those Global Racing Group cars look pretty quick at the moment.
Stingray Rob put a lot of pressure on Devlin DiFrancesco after that last restart. He's fallen back a little bit, back into the clutches of his teammate Rasmus Lint. David Malukas and Daniel Frost right behind them. Trying to battle it out a little bit here. Lundqvist pulling out a pretty decent lead, as Parker had said, stretching out nicely. Kirkwood now has DiFrancesco right behind him. So Kirkwood runs third, DiFrancesco fourth. That's them right there coming over turn number 9. Not that far back right there. In fact, Stingray Rob closing up a bit. And there's Malukas coming to the inside now of Daniel Frost coming out of turn 9. So we'll move David Malukas up potentially into the 7th position if he gets that run up there to turn number 10, coming out of Thunder Valley and up over top of the blind, turn number 11. Indeed done. Looks to me like, Malukas has worked his way by now into the 7th position.
What an awesome line the Global Racing guys have through that last section. I've driven in the wet a few times, and that is just textbook. Look at the lead they stretched out. That's probably a second of lap time sitting right there in turn 12 and turn 13.
Yeah, listen, it's all about getting that car rotated on the throttle early, right, to be able to work your way to that corner, get down that throttle. Because if you're turning, if you got input in the wheel, you just simply can't get on the throttle. You can do that once the wheel's wound back out again. Car's got to be straight to get that throttle down, and we've seen some really good runs. I think we're going to see a battle here between Stingray Rob and Devlin DiFrancesco again as well. Very different lines coming through the keyhole. DiFrancesco kind of following suit with Kirkwood and staying inside, while way around the outside goes Stingray Rob. Longer run around the outside, Parker, but you get back on the throttle a lot earlier.
I think Stingray Rob probably one of the hungriest guys on the road to Indy to try and get a podium.
Being told potential, at least we have a yellow flag in turn number 1. A driver has gone off. Not quite sure who that is at this point here, but a driver has gone off and back on the racetrack in turn number 1. We'll try to identify that car momentarily for you. It might be, I think it's Robert McGinnis. Yeah, McGinnis off in the number 27. So he'll drop down to the 9th or 10th position. There's the gap right now between 3rd and 4th, and that is Kirkwood and DiFrancesco. Again, seeing that over turn number 9. This is Stingray Rob. Talk about trying a bunch of different lines. You see a lot of these guys, you mentioned this earlier, getting diamonded and really coming down a lot closer, a lot tighter on the exit of turn number 9.
Oh, I love the wet. I mean, let's just keep it on this pan right here. You see the 2 Global Racing Group of the HMD cars, really unique line. Then watch Kyle Kirkwood. Maybe he's going to switch it up here. No, he stays on the outside through 13 to try and rim shot, but he still cuts back. So watch how they are trying to go over the rubber straight. That is the key, folks. Now you see David Malukas trying to get a run there. He did a good job. I think he'll be able to attack Rasmus Lind down to turn 1. Oh, a little under over. He thinks better of it.
Hold your breath on that one. But, yeah, great Parker giving us a couple of different insights there. Much different line laid down by Lundqvist. Gets the car turned big time and rotated straight much earlier than every other driver coming back through, even more than his teammate getting that car straightened and coming across the actual race line, as Parker had said. You could see guys like DeFrancesco going way wide, running that traditional rain line around the outside, but it's all about searching for grip, Parker, is it not? Every racetrack's different. Track's going to change as the day goes on, but you're always searching for what may be the best opportunity, the best line to be able to get that power down.
Well, and it's time versus distance, Rob. I'm sure you've heard that quite a few times in the broadcast booth. But really, where all the time lies is getting that 450 horsepower down on the pavement and not wheel spinning and not sitting there, not wasting the time. So you watch Linus Lundqvist just doing an awesome job. You know, Swedish, he's driven a few times in the rain, British F3 champion, so you can't win that championship without driving a lot in the wet. Just watch how in control he is. You know, you watch some guys at the back. You see that yellow car, Devlin DeFrancesco, a few times, or the Stingray Rob, Rasmus Lind. They're getting the car sideways a lot more than the guys at the front are. And because getting sideways is basically going nowhere. Yeah. Your wheels are spinning. You're not going anywhere. Watch these two guys right here at the front. Obviously, Benjamin, he's getting a little sideways there. But for the most part, super clean, super calm. We watch Kyle Kirkwood. It's going to be very similar. A lot of experience. Gets a little slippery there. I'm surprised Kyle Kirkwood, he's almost caught onto that line. I'm surprised he hasn't seen his butt getting kicked. Whoa, and there we go. Rasmus Lind gets turned around by David Malukas.
Yeah, that's contact between those two drivers coming through. Lind was trying to get back to the right side of the racetrack. It looked like a little bit of contact there with David Malukas coming out of turn number 12. That was the fight for 6th and 7th position between Malukas and Rasmus Lind. Rasmus going to fall down now to a couple of spots. Let's have a look at that again, Parker. You can kind of walk us through that a little bit, what happened. But essentially, David Malukas was putting a lot of pressure on Lind trying to go by, and that seemed to me like, here it is here. Well, watch the transition.
You know what? No contact at all. We're right. Sorry, folks. Again, another missed call by Parker Thompson. Not the first, won't be the last.
Listen, when we looked up at it, it looked like easily like it could have been a little bit of a tap, but you can see them coming through. This really is just Rasmus Lind. You can see a big wider run coming out of that corner for David Malukas. That car was a little wiggly and literally just started to transition as he got back on the throttle. Still had some of that wheel in it, right?
Yep, and you cannot, it's almost like a string is tied to your steering wheel and your pedals. And essentially, you've got to get that steering wheel straight. And when you get the steering wheel straight, the string comes up. You can press the pedals down. That's how I was 8 years old, and Alan Berg back in Calgary put on a wet driving school and taught me that. And I've pretty well taken that through any four-wheel automobile that I've driven. Well,
I'll tell you this right now, and I know we talked about this after the USF 2000 race. Based on some of the action we saw from the USF 2000 drivers, it seems to me like we need to have potentially a rain driving clinic as well at the start of the 2022 season, because there were a lot of USF 2000 drivers there that didn't realize you need to be real soft on the throttle. Guys were just on it left and right.
No, and it's tough, right? I mean, if you've only driven in dry conditions, the more aggressive you drive, the faster you go. Rain is a different art form.
Yeah. And there is an art of racing in the rain, no doubt about it. Look at this scrap we've got going here right now.
That is David Malukas, Stingray Rob, and Devlin DeFrancesco all getting crossed up going through one. Whoa, we got was that a spin? It was a spin in turn 1.
Was that Stingray Rob potentially going around?
Potentially that was Stingray, yeah. And we've got David Malukas gets a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah, Malukas is all the way up, I think, into potentially the 4th spot. We're going to find out what's going on. Kirkwood spun too. Kirkwood has fallen to the back a little bit.
Yes.
Kyle Kirkwood back into 6th. So Kirkwood went around. Stingray Rob, I think, went around as well. David Malukas back potentially P3 right now, able to get around Devlin DeFrancesco. So Malukas back to 3rd. And listen, we're talking about how tough these conditions are. Kudos to Linus Lundqvist and Benjamin Peterson who have handled it thus far.
Does the team order call come? Okay, Rob, do we have a car that has dropped out of this race? Antonio Ceravalli 2 laps down. I am betting money that HMD Motorsports is having a pretty big discussion right now. They've got the potential to get David Malukas back in the lead.
Kyle Kirkwood I want to say Kirkwood might have just let Frost go by there at one point. We'll have a look what happens. We're going to press the reset button when they come back around. We have had a lot of changes here. Kyle Kirkwood slowing a little bit on the racetrack. DeFrancesco, I want to see Daniel Frost able to slide by. Here goes Kirkwood. I don't know if there's an issue right now for Kyle Kirkwood or what's going on. Yes, right now 4 laps down in total is Antonio Serravalle. Here come the drivers through here now. That's David Malukas, I think, running now in the 3rd spot. So Lundqvist leads, Peterson second. We'll set when they come back around here. Waiting for live timing to update for us here. We'll give it a reset.
What a turn of events. So we're at the 11 laps out of 30 completed. HMD Motorsports has 4 laps to see if they make the call. If I'm in the booth, Rob, I'm not on the team, but I would say that they're going to let David Malukas go to the lead before the 4 laps is up. And then if Kyle Kirkwood does not finish in the 12th position, they will do another team order to get Linus Lundqvist back in the lead of the race and get Benjamin Peterson by.
Wow.
That is my we'll see if I'm right.
If you're the team manager, that's the call you're making?
That's the call I'm making without a hesitation right now. You
right.
have to do it.
So Global Racing Group with HMD running 1-2 with Linus Lundqvist and Benjamin Peterson. David Malukas now runs in the 3rd spot, but he is 12 seconds back, 22 seconds behind Linus Lundqvist. Malukas runs P3 after that incident in Turn 1. DeFrancesco 4th, Daniel Frost 5th. Kyle Kirkwood still running in the 6th spot. 7th is Rasmus Lind. 8th is Stingray Robb. 9th, Robert McGinnis. 10th, Christian Bogle. 11th, Manuel Suleiman. And 12th right now, Antonio Serravalle is now 6 laps back.
It's going to be really interesting here, Rob. We've got, like I said, 4 laps to see if Global Racing Group and HMD Motorsports are going to play nice within the team.
The issue right now, I think, it looks to me like Antonio Serravalle, looking at live timing, he is down as a mechanical. That could be it for him. If he is off the racetrack and done on pit lane, that would be it, because that would mean the worst that Kyle Kirkwood could finish would be 11th, and that would be enough to secure the championship. Regardless of what David Malukas does, if Kirkwood's able to finish in the 11th spot, that would be 530 points. The best Malukas could do would be 530, and Kirkwood would win the tiebreaker, 10 wins against 8 for
9,
Malukas.
Right? Because if Malukas won the race.
Malukas won 7 so
right.
far. So
My
it would be
apologies.
8 victories. So it would be 10-8. The tiebreaker would go to Kirkwood. So if indeed Serravalle done, which it looks like he may be done and off the racetrack, that would be it for him. That would end this championship here. Is that Kirkwood slowing again, or that may be McGinnis rolling around here? Bottom line right now is Linus Lundqvist is putting on a wet weather clinic. He has been unbelievably impressive and very, very consistent. A 12-second lead so far. Fast lap, though, laid down by, last lap by David Malukas, a 141.61. He literally has the fast lap of the race as well. No bonus point in Indy Lights for fast lap because we don't have push to pass. And even though we don't have it this weekend, no push to pass. And there you go, folks. The championship is done. Steve Whittick coming here with information from the paddock. The number 11, Antonio Serravalle, the car back in the paddock. He is out of the race car. The worst that Kyle Kirkwood could finish is 11th. We have ourselves a champion in Indy Lights.
Pretty wild, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
Kyle Kirkwood does like to make our job a little more difficult in the booth.
Kirkwood running in that 6th position right now. He did have his own spin, I believe, coming out of because he was running in the 3rd spot. So obviously some kind of an issue for Kyle to fall down into the 6th position. But this is the worst he has finished. Will be the worst he has finished since Road America back in June. But the bottom line is he will walk away with a $1.3 million scholarship following in the footsteps of some tremendous drivers over the last number of years for Andretti Autosport. And let's just say this, too. You look at the team championship and the battles we've had. Andretti Autosport has had the team champion over the last number of years. But HMD and Global Racing Group, these guys have put themselves to the point where we have ourselves a couple of really, really impressive championships going on.
Well, and what a way to finish the championship 1, 2, 3 if that ends up being set in stone. And not only that, Linus Lundqvist, a guy who's vying for an IndyCar ride, he's vying just to be back in a seat next year. For him to go out and absolutely dominate, that is what he needs to do, especially in the Great Equalizer, which is pretty interesting. You know, I don't think Kyle Kirkwood has been beat by his teammates too many times. So to say it's raining and this is where we see everything even out, Kyle might be doing some testing with some sprinklers on.
That's it. Yeah. Here's one of the things I find interesting as well coming into this event. In terms of the team championship, it is 625 to 595. So HMD Motorsports with the lead in the championship right now over Andretti Autosports by 30 markers to see whether HMD can get that team championship. As they run right now, HMD 3rd and 11th, Andretti 4th and 5th. So I would likely say that the HMD potentially getting a chance to win this team championship.
Well, HMD Motorsports, that does include Global Racing Group, am I correct? So they're 1-2.
Ooh, that's true. It says HMD. I was looking at the team championship. I thought maybe Global Racing Group is a secondary team. But, yeah, if they're 1-2-3, then it's a done deal for sure.
I believe,
Yep.
yes, 1-2-3.
So Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports having the 1-2, they will definitely grab that team championship. Lundqvist and Peterson, Malukas and DeFrancesco in third and fourth. Been a good run for David Malukas as well, coming from the tail of the field regardless. Getting himself back up to third. Not the finish he wanted to try to get this championship away, but again, all signs point to a bright future for the young driver from Chicago, Illinois.
Well, the one thing, Malukas, you can go to bed easy tonight knowing that Antonio Saravalli had a mechanical to no fault of his own.
Yep.
Even if you went out and dominated the race, unfortunately, you would be tied.
Yeah.
And the tie goes to the runner, which is Kyle Kirkwood.
Lundqvist turning the fast lap of the race, getting down to a 141.217, a 14-second lead here for Lundqvist. We're just coming to the halfway point of this 30-lap race. Lap 15 will go in the books. Still a long way to go in this particular race as well.
If I'm Linus Lundqvist, I'm going, Kyle Kirkwood kicked my butt by 26 seconds at Laguna Seca. I'm going to go kick his butt by 26 seconds.
Here comes the payback, right?
So explain to me this. I hear that this 26 seconds in Indy Lights was the largest victory. Is that in the dry at a road course?
Again, I don't have that information. That's a Steve Wittick, Diane Swintel question. Why are you asking me?
I know they're going to be listening to this broadcast. We'll see if it gets back to us. But I tell you what, if I'm Global Racing Group and I'm Linus Lundqvist, I'm out there to make a point today.
You want this?
And I'm
Yeah.
taking no prisoners. So I would go take that one little record just as a chink to give back to Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, and out of the gate, Linus Lundqvist was kind of one of the guys we expected to run for the championship, right? Coming off a very successful, dominating year in the Formula Regional America Series, comes over here to the road to Indy finally, gets into Indy Lights, wins the opening round, then moves to St. Petersburg, Indianapolis, scores a win there on the road course at IMS. This is a guy like you're in the middle of a championship contention, but just didn't quite have that enough to continue battling with Kirkwood and Malukas, right? They're the only drivers that have won here in 2021. How satisfying, you can say this as a driver, how satisfying will it be for him to really dominate in a race in the wet where really it comes down to the driver, right?
Oh, super satisfying. You look at the back half of his season, I don't believe he's won a race since Indianapolis. And
Yeah,
Indy was
that's
a
it.
long time ago.
That's
That's the
it.
month of May.
Yep.
So just that little feeling of a win to go into the offseason. I'm sure he's going to go back home to Sweden. He's got an awesome family and a girlfriend there. He'll recoup and then get back stateside, and hopefully we see him either back behind the wheel of an Indy Lights car or back into an Indy car where he belongs.
Yeah, I have a feeling that if he does come back to Indy Lights, this is a guy that everybody's going to have to be running after the championship. You mentioned the fact that he hasn't won since Indianapolis, and that's true. He had a bit of a run there through Road America, Mid-Ohio, and Worldwide Technology Race where he wasn't on the podium. Last 5 races, he's been on the podium 4 times in the last 5 races. 6th yesterday, going to come back today and potentially put it down on these guys. Still a long way to go, just past the halfway point, but a 17-second advantage already here.
Well, I go back to that 26 seconds. He's 9 seconds away, and he's only halfway in this race. Yeah. But I look at a guy like Linus Lundqvist. One of the things that impresses me, and if I'm a team owner, I'm looking at it, Worldwide Technology Raceway, he had a crash to no fault of his own.
Yep.
How did he rebound from that? Number one, he's not a driver with a ton of budget. You know, he came into this year with just enough to make sure that he compete for the championship.
Yep.
It wasn't budgeted to have an event like that. So for him and his group to put their heads down and him come back here, strong third in the championship and to get another win, I think that's pretty impressive.
Chatting with Steve Wittick from TSOladder.com and reminding us that Jack Harvey won here back in 2014 by 17.3 seconds, so already an 18.1 second advantage for Linus Lundqvist. So if indeed that win by Jack Harvey, the biggest margin of victory in Indy Lights over the last number of years, this is super impressive to see what he's been able to do here in the wet. Because listen, the bottom line is this is all about the driver. We do have a driver off here, man. Christian Bogle, Parker back off coming out of turn number 4. This could be tough. He did not come back onto the racetrack wisely with drivers coming through, but he's in the grass right now. Does he spin the tires? Is he able to get back on? Nicely done, Christian, because it's so easy to spin the tires and potentially high center yourself there. He gets back on the racetrack, and the beauty of that is we stay green.
I tell you what, in that shot, we've got Malukas catching Benjamin Peterson at a pretty rapid pace right now. That's going to be a nice little battle for second.
Yeah, how about 2 seconds a lap faster? Last time by a 142.2 for Peterson, a 140.2 for Malukas. Malukas was also 0.8 quicker than Lundqvist that last lap. So Malukas has reset fast lap, a 140.201, very similar lap times to Lundqvist. So again, if you're using the performance here in the wet as kind of a measure of the driver, and the team, of course, they've given these guys great race cars as the Global Racing Group at HMD guys now 1, 2, 3. To see the speed out of David Malukas, another indication of the talent for this young driver, has been able to put him to 7 wins here in 2021, lines him up nicely to potentially be one of the rookies that we've been able to see really make things happen here in Indy Lights.
It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, I know Benjamin hearing the rumors that he's coming back to the series possibly. It'd be a really good way to go out on a high. Rob, you'll know the stats on this. In the last couple races, he's had a top 5 Ridley since Road America.
And this is it. The thing about Kyle Kirkwood, Kyle Kirkwood, you mean, or
Benjamin Peterson?
Peterson, his second half of the season has been unbelievably strong. Ended up with 4 podiums, but got on a run, as you said. Kind of got rolling at Indianapolis and got things back to where he wanted to be. Road America, I think it was that big second place finish at Road America that kind of turned things around for him.
It's interesting as we talk about Benjamin. You saw him dive to the bottom of the racetrack. He's trying to get those Cooper tire wets, more wet weather. Obviously, the tires are probably getting pretty hot at this moment. That tells me that his tires are starting to fall off if he's diving for that wet. And he's just trying to cool them off. He's trying to get them ready.
You know, and talking a little bit about the fact of some of these big advantages of obviously, Kirkwood winning by 26 seconds. You go back to some of the older days in oval racing, Parker, when guys like Joseph Newgarden, some of these guys could win by a lap in an oval race. But on a natural terrain road course like this, nobody's going to pull away to a full lap. You're not going to see that happen. But, again, we've seen a pretty big run by Kirkwood, like you said. Steve Wittig told us that Harvey with a big victory here by 17 seconds back in 2014. This could be one of the biggest ones we've seen on a road course in the last number of years, as the margin now 18.1 seconds. Although David Malukas trying to dial things in and close things back up a little bit. He and Lundqvist very similar in lap times.
So Kyle Kirkwood, you've got the championship locked up. Everything looks good. You're running almost 4 seconds off of the lead pace right now. Do you think cruise control? I don't know. A guy like Kyle, you gotta. I will comment on Kyle that he's a doctor in the way that he only pushes when he has to.
Listen, that's my mindset too here. You're here to do a job. Winning the race isn't what had to happen. You had to win the championship. That's the thing that he's got to do. Get out here, win this championship. You can see this battle forming right now. They're actually trying to go around Robert McGinnis, who I believe is potentially a lap down. We're seeing this battle between Benjamin Peterson and David Malukas. These guys are firing it up. Check this out. We may go too wide coming down in here. Malukas wants to put on a show here. They'll go down into the corner. Malukas down to the bottom, trying to make that pass stick to the inside of turn number 4. Malukas to the bottom of the racetrack. Book it. And he pushes wide. Does he stay on the racetrack? Parker, walk us through that pass, holding to the inside and keeping Peterson to his left. What a beautiful pass that was.
Well, this is the top rung of the road to Indy. I said that you try not to outbreak somebody, and David Malukas went out and did just that. Now, I will say Benjamin Peterson was very nice to him, gave him the space he needed. And you watch how long Benjamin kept his wheel straight. That was in case David didn't make the corner. It would be an easy under-over back into turn 5.
And they're going to give us a replay on it here, Parker. You're going to get a chance to walk us through this pass when it comes back on. It was a really good run there for David Malukas, holding Peterson to the outside, and I think you're right. Probably Peterson saying, I know this car beside me. Here's the replay here.
Textbook. Obviously brought him to the bottom side of the track, but then actually went down the inside, so they're both well off the driving line. You see Benjamin open up there. You saw how his car moved to the left more. He was making sure that if David didn't make it, he had the opportunity to do the under-over. So pretty textbook, great teammate racing there, but at the same time, going in there, they didn't give each other an inch.
And that puts Linus Lundqvist into P1, as we said. David Malukas, though, up to second, so it's still a 1-2-3 for HMD and Global Racing Group. Malukas with a good pass there, able to slip by. Not able to get that point for the most laps led. We'll see if he's able to reel him in over the last 11 laps. And then, of course, we've got Antonio Saravalli out of the race already. The worst that Kyle Kirkwood can finish is 11th, and that would give him enough points to score this championship. Lundqvist, Malukas, Peterson, Frost, DeFrancesco, the top 5. Kirkwood runs 6th. Stingray Robb in 7th. 8th is Rasmus Lint. 9th is Robert McGinnis. Christian Bogle in 10th. Manuel Suleiman in 11th. And Antonio Saravalli, we said, out on lap number 5. Kind
of funny, Rob. I do have to say, when I look at Kyle Kirkwood just picked up a second that last lap. So I'm wondering if Andretti's listening to the broadcast going, hey, they're telling you that you're 4 seconds off on the broadcast. You might want to pick up the pace just a little bit. You did win the championship already.
Kyle, you wouldn't believe what Parker said about you on the broadcast. Oh, yeah?
Wouldn't be the first time.
I got more here, indeed. Yeah, he got down to a 142 flat. He's about 4 seconds behind Devlin DiFrancesco. You got to think he's on just kind of on cruise control right now. And for these drivers, we've talked about some of the guys, even Christian Rasmussen yesterday, that last lap, that cool-down lap, once you've won that championship. This really, the way things have rolled out, this is Kyle Kirkwood essentially having to stay focused knowing that he's already got that championship done. All that pressure coming up to the end of the season here to try to win this title and going back and forth with Malukas, 5 points up, 3 points up, back and forth on race wins, to now be able to spend essentially the second half of this race with that relaxation, the realization knowing that he's got the title. You have to still stay focused. You're driving an Indy Lights car in treacherous conditions.
Well, not only do you have to stay focused, but listen, championship or not, once you've won it, I mean, Andretti Autosport can tell him, Kyle, you've won the championship. You don't want to finish, I take it back to the Kyle Kaiser win in the rain. He won the championship. All he had to do is start the race, and I believe he finished almost dead last in that race. Not how you want to win a championship. I mean, I like the Christian Rasmussen win the race, lock it up. That feels a heck of a lot better headed into the offseason than finishing. When is the last time Kyle's finished out the outside of the top 5?
Yeah, listen, you have to go back. Has he done it even yet? Just the one race. 2 race. First race of the year, finished 9th after the contact in turn number 1, and then that race at Road America with the mechanical, he ends up finishing in the 12th position.
Well, and funny enough, I think he just got by Daniel Frost there for 5th, so he's back inside the top 5. Maybe he's listening to me just a little bit.
I think maybe listening into the radio, switching that radio to listen to the Road to Indy call here. He has indeed potentially by Daniel Frost back up into P5 for Kyle Kirkwood. One thing, folks, we do have things dialed in once again for the podium presentation, so we will be able to have interviews with our podium drivers down there, so stay tuned with the broadcast. Of course, we're going to come right out of that into a quick break, right into the final race of the 2021 Road to Indy season. Indy Pro 2000 drivers getting set to go. And, of course, Christian Rasmussen, we'll see what he can do to potentially get a race win. But Hunter Macri will be starting on the pole after a great run in the wet qualifying. We will have post-race interviews here on Road to Indy TV as part of the Indy Lights package. But right now it's Linus Lundqvist out front. And again, I don't think we can talk enough about how big it will be for Linus to be able to get a win here in these tough conditions. That would be huge for him. And like you said, that momentum moving his way into the offseason.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's contract season again.
Yeah.
I've said that a few times on this broadcast. But if you're not going to win the championship, you need to prove that you belong either in the series you're in again or the series above you, which is IndyCar. An interesting note coming in, Kyle Kirkwood, not to bring him back up, but I believe this is his first loss on the road to Indy ever at Mid-Ohio.
At Mid-Ohio. Yeah, he's never not won here in his 3 years running in the road to Indy. And again, another thing we'll give him here as well, now that the series is clinched, first time ever in the history of the road to Indy, a driver has won all 3 rungs all the way up. USF 2000 champion in 2018, Indy Pro 2000 champion in 2019, and now the Indy Lights title winner in 2021. He is now putting some pressure on Devlin DiFrancesco. Kirkwood trying to work his way up to P4. We're not done with wheel-to-wheel racing. The Andretti Steinbrenner driver, DiFrancesco the 17, Kirkwood obviously for Andretti Autosport in the number 28.
I'm calling it, Rob. Somebody told him he was 4 seconds off and he won the championship because right there he did a 140.5, which is a good enough pace for really to be in third.
Yep.
You've obviously got the 2 front runners at a 138.9, which is still 2 seconds up the road. But at the same time, somebody told Kyle, "Hey, it's all done, pal. Let's go run a good race."
Yeah, you can look good right now.
Yes.
You don't need to cruise around.
We don't need to cruise around.
You can show us a little bit more if you'd like. Kirkwood, of course, the new champion for the Indy Lights program, just turned his fast lap, as Parker had said, a 140.507. 8 laps remaining here, 22 laps down. Linus Lundqvist and David Malukas, very similar in terms of their fastest lap times. Lundqvist a 138.91, Malukas a 138.86. Malukas with the fast lap so far. It's a 15.6 second gap. Remember, we were 18 at one point. Malukas is chipping away here, trying to see if he can't work his way back up so we could potentially have a battle here late in the run. We'll keep watching lap times. Last time by, Malukas quicker by 2 seconds from Lundqvist. And again, we may have a battle here between DiFrancesco and Kyle Kirkwood. As you can see them coming down across the start-finish, that's the gap between 4th and 5th.
It's interesting. I think Linus is probably managing his tires. If it goes to a restart, he wants to make sure he's got some Cooper tire rubber left. Obviously, the 26-second lead probably looks a little out of touch. And at that point, you've already decimated the field.
Yep.
You don't need to continue to kill your tires and risk a potential win taken away when you get to the end of the race and a restart. As we see here, though, some real different lines by Devlin and by Kyle. Looks like Kyle's going to have a run here. These guys could be potential IndyCar rivals. So if I'm Devlin, I'm not letting this newly crowned Indy Lights champion go by without a fight. I'm sure his engineers told him, hey, Kyle does have the championship locked up, so you can rough him up just a little bit if you'd like.
Gloves are off, baby. What do you think about the dry line right now? I'm kind of thinking foreshadowing to Indy Pro 2000. Does the dry line, like they're not really running the dry line when they're running the outside line, so that inside line is going to still be pretty wet, right?
Well, Rob, my markers generally, when it gets 10 seconds back to its original qualifying time, that's when you start thinking about putting on slick tires or not. It's still super treacherous. You can see the guys sliding around everywhere. It's probably going to get a little worse in terms of some of the corners are dry on the outside, and it's going to be eating away at that Cooper tire rubber, but at the same time, it's still wet. I think they're a ways away from putting on full slick tires.
Yeah, that would be around 121 lap time. We're turning 139, so we're, as Parker said, still 18 seconds away anywhere that anybody would even think about going into that dry tire. Still a long ways away. The track's significantly damp. That's one of the things about this racetrack. It doesn't dry that quickly either, even if the rain would stop.
No, it's older pavement. It's got more, let's call it crevices and little holes in it, so it tends to hold the water quite well. It's not a windy day here at Mid-Ohio. Usually we get wind, and wind is what helps dry it out. It's a pretty calm day, and it's kind of a socked-in day. You know, we don't see the sun, a lot of clouds everywhere. Not what you'd call a championship Sunday, but at the same time, we're crowning champions.
One more to lock and load as well. We know that Kiko Porto winning the USF 2000 championships, locking that in yesterday. Kyle Kirkwood has done so here today in Indy Lights. And, of course, Christian Rasmussen, all he needs to do is start the Indy Pro 2000 race here later today to be able to get that crown, his second in a row, very much like Kirkwood winning last year in the USF 2000, backing it up with an Indy Pro 2000 championship at the green flag today. A couple drivers working their way through that, I believe, is Christian Bogle in the number 7, currently running in the 10th spot. 16 seconds the lead for Linus Lundqvist, but he turned his fast lap last time by. 16 seconds is maybe enough for him. I want a bigger cushion when it comes to Malukas because he just turned his fast lap a 137.68.
Well, Robbie just put in a lap a second faster than David Malukas, and you know we're looking at 3 or 4 seconds faster than the rest of the field. So I honestly think Linus and his engineering group there at Global Racing Group, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think they're just managing that gap in case of a restart. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't realize you can lose a race so easy by not managing a big gap.
Very true. Explain more of that. Pushing so hard, you burn the tires off, you come back to a yellow, right?
Exactly. You know, you get that late yellow, which I would say the chances are fairly high here around a place like Mid-Ohio. We've got 5 minutes remaining. So right now is at the time where if we went yellow, it could go green for that 1 or 2 lap spurt. And if you don't have your Cooper tires under you nice and cooled off and ready to go, if you've been burning them off trying to get that 26-second lead or the fastest lap of the race, you're a sitting duck.
Indeed, 6 laps remaining in the race, but only 5 minutes and 18 seconds on the time clock. So I assume we could be at a timed race here now. And again, I think what we're looking at for the start for the USF 2000 or the Indy Pro 2000 race as well. We'll look at the timeline for that because that's going to be coming up here momentarily as well to cap off our final race of the season. But again, Lundqvist leading right now, again, by 16 seconds over his teammate David Malukas. It's been an up and down day for Malukas. What a roller coaster for him going off at the start. First of all, qualifying on the pole, keeping the dream alive. Then he goes off in the opening corner. Then he fights his way back to second. That is going to be an emotional roller coaster for this young driver.
Well, and I don't know, but those 4 laps, I really thought there was a chance if the team said, hey, we're doing a swap, and then we'll switch you guys back at the end of the race if Kyle's got it wrapped up. Yep. I really thought that was what we were going to see on the screen. Obviously didn't come to fruition with Antonio Saravalli dropping out of the race a little early, and we have crowned a champion. But, you know, to the victor goes the spoils, but we know that Linus Lundqvist is going to be pretty eager to cap off his season with a win, go back to Sweden, and start negotiating for next year.
That's it. 2021 Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tire season. Capping off here, the final laps coming up with the VP Racing Fuels Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Linus Lundqvist for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, looking to log his third race win of the year as he leads his teammates David Malukas and Benjamin Peterson. It'll be all orange podium when we get out there after this race.
One of the things to note, Rob, and for the fans at home, you probably heard me call the 4 or 5 minutes to go. Again, as we explained in the USF 2000 race, if we get to that end of the lap, which is we're supposed to complete 30 laps, or it's 45 minutes or 50 minutes is what it looks like.
Yep.
And we're going to hit that 50-minute mark before we hit the 30-lap mark. So it looks like this race has got just over 3 minutes to go, and that's what the race is actually going to end on, is the time instead of the laps.
Just outside that top three on the podium, Devlin DeFrancesco in the fourth spot. Kyle Kirkwood back by 1.5 seconds. Put a bit of pressure on there for a number of laps, but to settle back into the fifth spot. Daniel Frost runs sixth. Stingray Robb ahead of Rasmuth Lint in the seventh position. Robert McGinnis eighth. Bogle, Suleiman, and Saravalli out on lap number 5, as we had mentioned. Lundqvist leading now by 16.3 seconds as the time clicks away. There is DeFrancesco in your champion-elect Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28. 3 straight championship, 3 straight years, reset the record books in terms of overall wins on the road to Indy, tied Greg Moore for the number of wins in Indy Lights in a single season, wins at 7 victories. Parker, you can't ask for much more out of a young driver coming through this road to Indy to do what he has done. 3 straight championships, leveraging the scholarships along the way. This guy, I got to say, is a generational talent because he's been able to do everything he needs to do coming up the ranks.
100%, Rob. And I think what makes Kyle Kirkwood really cynical is the fact that he's got the smarts to place himself in the best spots, too. You know, you notice there was a lot of drama to his arrival into Indy Pro 2000. Possibly signed with another team, shows up to preseason testing with another. A lot of things have happened, but him and his group have always seemed to make the best calls to place himself in the best position. And take it from my first-person experience, that's so important on the road to Indy. It's not just being fast. It's also placing yourself in good positions, not only financially, but with the group of people that gets behind you and drives you to wins.
Yeah. No doubt. I believe we're going to see white flag next time by for Linus Lundqvist. But, yeah, talking about Kyle Kirkwood, Cape Motorsports obviously came in, was able to dominate with them. Had issues at the very start of the season, but went on to win the championship. Then he moved to RP Motorsport USA, and the same thing, was able to had some issues early. Got a good run midway through the season, squeaked out a championship at Laguna Seca by just 1 point after getting taken out in the opening lap of the final race. And then, of course, making the move here after a year's hiatus to join up with Andretti Autosport to pilot that number 28 machine. It's been a great run for him through his 3-year career.
Well, and again, Rob, it was a bumpy start, too, to his Andretti Autosport career. So that just seems to be Kyle Kirkwood. But at the end of the day, I've always said this, you'll want to have the momentum on the back half, not the front half.
So let's wrap things up here now. Linus Lundqvist, I believe we may see checker. I know we heard that it was going to be white flag. Linus was kind of out ahead there. I'm not sure whether or not this will be checker or the white flag, but again, capping off the race here for Lundqvist, 13.2 seconds. Probably a bit on cruise control here for him as well on the final couple of laps as he's going to bring this home for his 3rd race win. It's been a tremendous performance here in tough conditions for the young Swedish driver Linus Lundqvist for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports. I believe this will be the final circuit coming out of turn 12 and 13. And indeed, Linus Lundqvist looking for the checker flags. We got him. Or is that the white there?
That looks white.
Man, that's what happens when the guys in the production here, we're not quite sure how far ahead. This is the white flag lap right now. And how good is this going to feel? I know we haven't done a lot of this throughout the season. This kind of a lead, white flag lap, what are your thoughts?
Well, not to cut you off, Rob, but it's too funny. These guys are battling for the fastest lap of the race, David and Linus. So David Malukas set a 37.5 last time by. Linus Lundqvist just set a 37.5. You're 1 lap away from winning by 15 seconds. You know you're competing for something. And now David Malukas, only man to get into the 36s with a 36.2. They're keeping it, you know what? They're making our job easy. They're keeping it interesting.
Well, the worry, now what does he do? Push really hard and drive off? Don't do that. Just bring it home.
Well, the funny part is you don't even get a point in Indy Lights. I learned that yesterday, obviously, with the push to pass. Although we don't have push to pass this weekend, nor in the rain. Do they get push to pass in the rain if it's a dry race?
Another question.
Or if it's
I would not think so. I don't know that you need push to pass 50 more horsepower when you can hardly hold on to the 450 you got. So, guys, final lap here for Linus Lundqvist. We know that. We saw Aaron Likens throw the white flag, and it is a just under a 12-second lead as Maluka's putting down some good laps, but Lundqvist for the last time down into Thunder Valley at turn number 9. What a great way to finish off the season for this guy here. Again, showing what he is made of here. Potentially maybe IndyCar next year, maybe back for Indy Lights to contend for the championship or the scholarship. Here he comes now out of turn number 12 through the carousel. Out of turn number 13 from Sweden. Third win on the season for Global Racing Group and HMD Motorsports. The winner is Linus Lundqvist. David Malukas, a further 12 seconds in a drift. He'll come out to finish second place in the points. 7 wins on the season for Malukas. An unbelievable run for that driver. Benjamin Peterson, another podium finish, another top 5.
Kyle Kirkwood off the track.
Kyle Kirkwood did just drive off the track. On the final lap, Kirkwood goes off the racetrack. Daniel Frost able to go through to grab 6th. So Kirkwood overcooking it coming down into turn number 4. What is happening? Am I getting punked right now? He goes off the racetrack. Let's see if Kirkwood can come back on. What is happening? This is like the twilight zone of racing here this particular weekend. DeFrancesco then waiting for them to come around to complete lap number 29. Literally, we came 1 lap short based on the length of the race as well. The longer the lap times, oftentimes within our time window, not able to get them all done. We end up with 29 laps in total.
I think I know what happened. Kyle Kirkwood, his grandma's down there in turn 5 and 6. His whole family's down there. I'm sure he's taken just a moment to seep it in, and he seeped some gravel in.
He did so. He went all the way off the racetrack, waiting for these guys to come across to finish it off here right now. Devlin DeFrancesco going to come home, I believe, in the 4th position. 5th, I think, is going to be Daniel Frost. 6th will be Kyle Kirkwood, falling back that 1 position. He'll cruise on, right, and he's literally going to essentially stop by his crew on the start-finish line here, coming out at the pit lane wall. Kyle Kirkwood, back-to-back jacks in the championships here. USF 2000, Indy Pro, and Indy Lights. The only driver we've ever seen do that before. Kirkwood finishing still, I believe, in the 5th spot. It looks like coming across the line. Daniel Frost ends up in 6th.
Well, Frost actually, I think that was a gentleman move. I'm pretty sure he let Kirkwood back by after Kirkwood dusted off the gravel.
Stingray Robb 7th, Rasmus Lind 8th, Robert McGinnis 9th, Christian Bogle 10th, Manuel Suleiman 11th, and Antonio Saravalli rounding out the top 12. 13-point win for Kyle Kirkwood over David Malukas in the championship.
Not a lot, but it's just enough. Rob, thank you so much for joining me in the booth. Rob is he's got the headset off. He's going to be running down to Victory Lane to welcome not only Linus Lundqvist to Victory Lane, but more importantly, the victor of the season, Kyle Kirkwood, champion of the 2021 Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. What a feat, $1.2 million to go out and shop himself around for an IndyCar ride. If I'm an IndyCar owner, I'm going, you know what, he's got money and he's got talent. No reason why he shouldn't be there. As we see Kyle, he's taking his time. He just finished off an Indy Lights Championship, and he's doing donuts. That's what we like to see in the rain. Don't need to save that clutch and engine for next year. They'll be rebuilding it in the offseason. I'm pretty sure his family is still down there, so that's very cool. Obviously, his grandma, he's quite vocal at. His grandma comes to just about every single race. She's an absolute sweetheart of a lady. His family doesn't come to much races, but I believe he's all here. I didn't even know he had siblings. Supposedly, he's got a brother and a sister that are here at the race, so we give a shout-out to them that are in turn 5 and 6. Obviously, they just did donuts, but we're back to Victory Lane with Linus Lundqvist. Way to cap off a season, Linus. It is contract season, and there's no better way to get some offers for next year than to go out and dominate the wet race. The Swedish fish, you put him in water and he swims downriver compared to everybody else. Gives his Global Racing Group team owner, Mr. Peterson, a hug. What a fantastic win for him. Definitely makes going into the offseason just a little bit better. Obviously, he probably wanted 2 spots better than 3rd place overall. But at the same time, coming in here, dominating, getting 3 wins and dominating in the wet, the great equalizer, as he gives his girlfriend a hug, Mike Marini, the team manager at HMD Motorsports. They're all giving high fives. And HMD Motorsports with Global Racing Group ends up 1-2-3. What a dominant victory for them to end on a high note. That's great for the team, too. Obviously, if they're in negotiations with the drivers for next year, no better team to go to than the guys that finished 1-2-3 at the end of the year. We'll give Linus some time to take off that helmet and Hans. It's always nice to soak in these moments. Not a lot of people realize you only get a few races a year to win. And we will throw it down to Rob Howden, who's going to get to talk with Linus Lundqvist after his victory.
Thank you so much, Parker. Linus, I'm telling you, man, to be able to finish the season off like that in these kind of conditions to show what kind of a driver you are, give me your thoughts on what was a great race.
No, I think firstly I just want to say a massive thank you to my team. You know, they put in so much effort during the season, and obviously it was a long time since we were here to win a race, so it feels really good to be back. And a special thank you to my title sponsor this weekend, Avionic, as well. It was good to bring a win for them.
Tell me about the conditions. There were guys that were having tons of trouble. You and David Malukas actually were pretty good after he went off early. You were able to control it. How tough was it out there?
It's always tough in these conditions, especially when you have someone like David or anyone else behind you who's chasing you. But, you know, I think we were able to sort of control it a little bit, obviously look after the tires because it started to dry up fairly quickly. So it was always that balance on how much you want to push, how much you want to save, but just super happy to be able to stand here today.
We did this before when you won the first time. You want to say any words in Sweden to your fans back home?
I mean, I'd love to. I think a lot of you are watching from home, so tack så jättemycket för att ni stannar upp och tittar på mig. Jag vet att vi hade en liten svacka nu senast där i halvan av säsongen, men jäkligt skönt att få avsluta på det här sättet och så hoppas att vi är tillbaka starkt nästa år, vad det än blir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, fantastic driver here, folks. An amazing job. An amazing job, of course, again, by Linus Lundqvist. Let's get his teammate here right now as well. Let's come over, Michael, and grab a hold of David Malukas. David's having a chat with the crew. David, my goodness, talk about putting on a show for us. It was going to be super hard for you to win the championship. We knew that. You end up going off in turn one, but you storm back to second. What a drive.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just us struggling. It was the safety car as well, and I couldn't get any temp, and I was like, oh, I'm just stuck in first gear. I'm like, come on. And as soon as I go into one, it just locks up. And I'm like, well, that was kind of expected. So we go out, everybody starts spinning and sliding everywhere. But, man, what a race. I mean, that was almost better than a win for me. I made it hard for myself, and I was like, you know what, let's just have some fun. And left, right, oh, man, I made this track kind of like I owned it. Yeah, my private playground. I like that, yeah.
Hey, listen, you look back at the season, obviously second in the points. You wanted to win the championship, but you won 7 races this year. You got to look back and say, man, this is when I really came out as a top-level driver.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so happy. Even though we got second, I think we've shown what we can do. The team has done amazing. Coming from 2019, I mean, if you told me that we were fighting for the championship, I would be laughing. So I'm so happy. I mean, even though it's second, it's still a win for me.
David, congratulations.
Thank you.
David Malukas, guys, tremendous run. Let's walk over here right now. Get over here, my friend. You are now the champion of Indy Lights.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, my gosh, I don't even know what to say. Lost for words. There's so much relief. Man, I heard Antonio got out of the car, and I was like, does that mean that we won it? I'm not really sure, but we just weren't fast in the wet there, and it was just so treacherous. Even when it was drying, I mean, we were just so slow, and I was making massive mistakes just putting around the track, it felt like. So, and to take it home and get that checker, man, it's such a big relief. I mean,
we've done this before, too, right? You obviously USF 2000 champion, Indy Pro 2000 champion. That year's super tight as well. First driver ever to win all 3 championships. That's something as well. Give me your emotion on that.
It's insane. I mean, I can't thank the Andretti guys enough. RP, Cape, everyone through it. It's incredible. I'm got lost for words right now.
Let's give you a chance to talk about this team. Obviously, you said you were with Cape Motorsports, you know, the juggernaut legends of USF 2000 racing. You were here for RP Motorsports to help get them a championship. But being able to spend some time with this Andretti Autosport crew, talk about raising your game as well.
Man, I've learned so much this year. Andretti has brought me up, and they've took me in, even with the IndyCar side, and they've taught me so much. I couldn't be any more grateful than I already am for these guys back here. Hats off to my entire 28 crew. Got Doug, J-Rob, Dalton, Carlos. They've done a phenomenal job all year. No mistakes. Everything was perfect. And unfortunately, I had some mistakes, but we're able to overcome those and had some decent days.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Kyle Kirkwood, folks, your champion in Indy Lights for 2021. 3 straight championships. He has a $1.3 million scholarship to go to IndyCar in 2022.
Going to present all 3 trophies, okay?
so much. Appreciate it. You guys got me under so much pressure there. Holy.
Push it.
So much relief. Congrats, Kyle.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Good job, brother. Thank you. I'm not. No, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
Pass thing around the outside, go down on Devlin.
Please. Yeah.
Indy lights champ.
So you're gonna ask me?
No. What was going through your mind when you crossed the checkered flag and shared a moment with the team there on the wall?
Thank God I got it across the finish line. That was like the most important thing that I could have done. It was so treacherous out there. I couldn't touch the throttle anywhere, it seemed like. We were definitely slower than the HMG guys here in the wet, but man, we did it. It's insane. It's insane to think about the years in the past and this entire year, the ups and downs. It's been an incredible season and maybe not ended it off the way I wanted to, but
Get set to go for the last Indy Lights podium of the 2021 season. A tremendous drive, tremendous event throughout this entire season. All three of our drivers coming to join us here right now to get things underway. For this podium, of course, Kyle Kirkwood with the championship. A good run for him, finishing in the 5th spot. But we've got to bring up the 3 drivers who were able to get to the podium here today. It'll be all HMD and Global. A tremendous way to cap off the season.
Let's get started with the
driver coming home in 3rd position from Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, Benjamin Peterson. Dan Anderson, CEO of Anderson Promotions, will present the trophies to our drivers today. And again, we say goodbye to Indy Lights as the stewardship of this fantastic program transferring back to IndyCar for 2022. We wish everybody and all the teams the absolute best. And again, kudos to everyone from Anderson Promotions for what they've done for this program over the last 8 years. Big thank you to Cooper Tires, of course, and to Laura for being our partners. Finishing in 2nd spot today, a drive from the very tail of the field made it super exciting. Finishing P2 in the championship at P2 today. Put your hands together for David Malukas. Fun season throughout this year with David Malukas, and man, as I said, arriving on the scene as a top caliber driver. Looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do for his career. Such a young man and a young talent here in American motorsports. One of the drivers we'll see transition out of the road to Indy. Final time, though, here this season to give a trophy to the race winner. He won a couple races early in these challenging conditions where the driver means the most. He showed exactly what he has. Folks from Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, the winner in the wet of Mid-Ohio, Linus Lundqvist. Third win on the season for the Swede, and 3rd place in the championship as well. HMD with Global Racing Group winning the team championship here as well. A tremendous season all told. And Linus Lundqvist standing in the middle of the podium. Look at the quality of the drivers here at Mid-Ohio in these tough conditions, folks. All HMD and Global on the podium here today. Linus Lundqvist with the win. David Malukas 2nd. Benjamin Peterson, another podium finish. A tremendous second half of the season for Peterson. As we cap off things for Indy Lights. One more race still to come here today. Indy Pro 2000 will cap off their season. As we wrap things up with the championship banquet this evening. Sold out show tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to get a chance to celebrate the accomplishments of all these young drivers, teams, mechanics, you name it, those who will win awards throughout the evening. $3.1 million in scholarships and prizes handed out this evening at that banquet. But again, always great to see the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series here. Get those Cooper Tire hats back on for us if you can, guys. Swap the hats out. Thank you so much. And then for the last time here, folks, in the 2021 season, it's champagne time. And the HMD Global crew going at each other here. And again, a fantastic run in the wet weather for Linus Lundqvist. If you will join me, folks, one more time, a round of applause for the podium today. Linus Lundqvist, David Malukas, and Benjamin Peterson to cap off the 2021
Indy Lights Championship. Here is a bit of wisdom from your Uncle Cooper. Tires exist on a spectrum. On one end, you got too much tire. On the other, you don't get enough. Both ends are rip-offs. You're either paying for more than you need or needing more even after you pay. So if you want a tire that costs what tires should cost and does what tires should do, go right for the sweet spot. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
At TopCon, we know a thing or two about a smooth surface. Roads and highways, piece of cake. Airports, let's just say it'll be the smoothest landing you've ever had. But what about when you want to go fast? Real fast? No, faster. We've helped cars go faster than they've ever gone before. Broken a few lap records along the way. Want the best paving performance? Go to the source. TopCon, always one step ahead.
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road to life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap things up here from the VP Racing Fuels Road to Indy finale weekend here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Rob Howden here. I'll be solo for this final race of the day. Indy Pro 2000 getting set to roll out and get things underway. Track drying a little bit. If you watched any lights, you heard Linus Lundqvist say that track was drying significantly. Lap time still not to the point. I think that maybe it's a dry track as of yet, so we'll see how things play out here. But we do have one more race to go. And once we do take the green, if Christian Rasmussen takes that green, he will be the champion in Indy Pro 2000. So really, at this point, it's just who can win here today. Let's have a look at the grid because we have a great field of drivers getting ready to get at it right now. Starting in the 12th position, Jack William Miller in the Miller Vinatieri Motorsports, number 40. He will be in the 12th spot. Inside of that row will be Christian Rasmussen in the number 1. As we said, there was a penalty for Jack William Miller yesterday, which drops him down to the tail of the field after the incident they had on track. So Rasmussen will start 11th. And again, all he needs to do is come across to take this green, and he will be your champion for the 2021 season. Into row number 5, starting on the outside. This was that wet weather qualifying session we saw earlier today. Jacob Abel in the 51 out of Kentucky will start in the 10th spot in the Abel Motorsports Crosley Brands machine. Inside of that row, making his first weekend here as part of the Indy Pro 2000 paddock, Jordan Missig out of Illinois in the number 19 for Pabst Racing, starting in the 9th spot. We'll move our way to row number 4 on the outside. Wyatt Prokachik in the number 5 for Jay Howard Driver Development. Starting on the inside in the 7th position, Reese Gold in the number 55. Row number 3, we'll see James Rowe Jr. for the number 3 car in the Turn 3 Motorsports Crew. Row starting 6th. Inside for Exclusive Autosports, 2nd spot in the points, the number 91 of Braden Eves. Eves at a nearby New Albany, Ohio. Moving now up to row number 2, rookie weekend here in the Indy Pro 2000 class. Couple of years running in USF 2000 out of Santa Clarita, California for Exclusive Autosports. Christian Brooks, impressive in this opening weekend. He'll start 4th in the number 44 outside of row 2. Inside his teammate, who is still in a fight to potentially go to P3 in the championship, Artem Petrov out of St. Petersburg, Russia, in the 42, a winner in the wet weather conditions at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Petrov starting in that 3rd spot. 12 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. Off pole, Anam Ahmed, former British F3 and World Karting champion, running this weekend with Juncos Hollinger Racing, the rookie in the number 22, starting in 2nd position. Parker Thompson and I talked about it in qualifying. This guy won British F3, and you know there was some wet weather racing in British F3 and a very, very tough championship. Ahmed expecting to be strong here. But the driver who turned it up the very final lap of the practice and qualifying session, Hunter McElray for Pabst Racing in the number 18, a 145.117, a full second faster on that last lap. McElray looking to do what he did last time we were here in July at Mid-Ohio, and that was win the back end of a doubleheader. McElray, again, in this fight with Reese Gold and Artem Petrov for the final position in the point standings of the top 3. McElray and Ahmed on row 1, Petrov and Brooks row 2, Eves and Rowe on row 3, Gold and Prokachik on row 4, Missig and Abel on row number 5, Rasmussen and Miller on row number 6. Final race of the 2021 Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires season. We cap things off here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. 12 drivers ready to fire things up and get this final race underway. Conditions most definitely interesting. We'll see how things play out. Looks a lot drier right now. We'll see what happens as they come out here. But ladies and gentlemen, time to get things underway on pit lane. Drivers, start your engines. Drivers clicking the button, getting things underway, and indeed, engines coming to life. Drivers in the PM18 chassis, the final year for these cars, as well as we'll go to the new IL22 next year, IP22 rather, the Indy Pro 22 next year. We'll see the halos on cars for both Indy Pro 2000 and USF 2000. So a brand new car. The upgrade kit's on their way here now. So new cars, new safety levels. Looking forward to a great season in 2022. But one more time to run these ones here around Mid-Ohio. And this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, this battle, of course, for the championship coming down yesterday as Christian Rasmussen scoring that win, able to get by an ailing Artem Petrov. A minor technical issue put him back a couple of seconds on one of the laps. That allowed Rasmussen to slide through. That victory was able to give him the championship. He only needs to take the green flag here, and let's keep an eye on that because Rasmussen seriously still needs to get all the way around. No issues here on this warm-up lap. He needs to take the green flag to get those 9 points that are available for finishing in the 12th position. 12 drivers in the field. He needs those 9 points to confirm that championship over Braden Eves. And again, Eves, a tremendous story. You think about what happened last year upside down at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the injuries he sustained with that wreck, to be able to come back and do what he did, winning the opening round at Barber Motorsports Park, the emotion of scoring that race win. We'll see what happens with his career, because he's a talented driver, and we hope to see Braden continue working his way forward. Maybe even coming back for another year of Indy Pro. Love to see him in Indy Lights as well, but a ton of talent for Braden Eves. The battle over the championship, Hunter McElroy, Reese Gold, and Artem Petrov coming in separated by only 7 points. 8 points now. Of course, McElroy getting the bonus for qualifying on the pole. It's really going to come down to where they finish on the racetrack. So I've got the points possibility sheet in front of me. We'll see what we can do in terms of giving you some updates throughout the race as it happens. Being called a wet start here right now, and I'm really looking at the particular cameras around here to find out exactly how wet it is. Late in our Indy Lights broadcast, Parker Thompson did talk about the fact that we haven't had a lot of wind here, and that's one of the things that will benefit a racetrack in terms of drying quicker, is to get that wind blowing through. Not super cold here either. I think I talked earlier about the fact we were mid-60s for the potential for the most of the morning. It's 70 degrees trackside here right now. Not raining when we were out for the podium for Indy Lights, so this could be an interesting race. I wonder if anybody potentially has put on slicks further back, or if anybody would pit for slicks. This could be an interesting race, especially if we start getting a couple of yellows and somebody could consider making that move. Otherwise, we're getting set to go for what will be the last race of the 2021 season. Looking forward to seeing what happens here for sure. This will be a 25-lap contest for the drivers here in this Indy Pro 2000 category, second rung of this road to Indy. Pace car heading around one more time. The 2 sighting laps, giving the opportunity for these drivers to get a feel for the track. Significantly different than what it was when they were out here in a very wet qualifying session earlier today. Again, for those of you tuning in to the Road to Indy TV app, or IndyPro2000.com, or, of course, roadtoindy.tv, awesome to have you guys with us. Thank you so much for being part of our family, part of the action here throughout the 2021 season. We hope you've enjoyed all the coverage. We continue to try to improve on this coverage this year. This weekend, of course, having some live interviews down on pit lane that we haven't had in years past. So, again, stepping up our program each year to try to provide better coverage as part of this unparalleled driver development program, the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. So Hunter McElroy and Anam Ahmed will be on the front row. Again, challenging conditions. This is not a full wet track right now. It's definitely wet, but how much in terms of dryness is there out there? Is there an opportunity for potentially this track to be a dry track where maybe those slicks will be better? I want to say that I think that Jack Miller may have had a spun on the parade lap, but I think he may be out on dries. I thought I saw the sticker spinning around on the tires there, so Jack William Miller maybe banking on the fact that this track is going to go dry, and that would be very interesting. Tough track for him, of course, if we do stay wet, but if he indeed has slick tires on, which I think you can see it there. You can see the Cooper Tires sticker spinning around on those cars. So either new wets or new dries. I don't know that anybody would roll the dice here as of yet. Being told those may be just new sticker rains for Jack William Miller. We saw it happen in New Jersey, didn't we? Some drivers coming in here, coming in and putting on slick tires early. You know, we had to call the race as a rain race. Everybody out there in the rain tires, man, those are soft compounds, and when it starts to dry up, we saw those things just chunk away. The soft compound, the less contact patch with the treaded tire, man, they heat up pretty quickly. You'll see drivers diving for wet. I think the track's still pretty damp. This is not a circuit that dries up very quickly, especially with no wet. I mean, rather no wind. We have none whatsoever. So, indeed, the pace car will duck in this time. Time to go racing. 25 laps for the drivers here in Indy Pro 2000. Final race of the season here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Looking for those drivers to work their way now out of turn number 12 and 13. Pace car getting out front early, leaving Hunter McElroy to lead the field. Looks like we're going to go with Are they going to line them up or are they going to go 2 by 2? I think we're going to go for a single file start once again as we did with Indy Lights. Indeed, yeah, single file start. Drivers coming onto the front straightaway. Time to go racing here. Lining things up. And we're underway for the final time in 2021. Green, green, green. McElray down into 1. Good start, I think, from the inside, potentially for Artem Petrov. I think he may have gone to second, getting a jump there on Anam Ahmed. Ahmed was trying to kind of line things up a little bit, but I think Petrov may have gone by to second. Petrov getting aggressive, coming down here as well. Thinking about it in turn number 2. Indeed, Petrov goes to second. Ahmed back to third. Brooks now up into the 4th spot. Drivers clean out of the keyhole. Again, I think we're going to have a lot more grip than we saw. Look at this attack right now. It's a move to the lead for Artem Petrov. Petrov goes to P1. He'll defend down into turn number 4, bottom of the track. This is what could get sketchy. Coming through here, driver's going to get a field. Petrov goes 4 wheels off. That's it for Petrov. He's off it in the gravel. Another driver coming off hard further back in the pack. Petrov overcooked it, having taken the lead. A spin as well for Jordan Missig. And he is in the gravel, will probably go full course yellow. Artem Petrov pushing hard down the inside, coming into the corner. The tire's probably not quite up to temperature. And Petrov off the racetrack on the outside of the corner, having taken the lead from Hunter McElray. Full course caution. So that is it, full course. We'll slow him down. And we'll have a look at what happened here, folks. We have that replay ability for you to see what happened here. Coming down the straightaway, there it is. Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes Petrov. You can see almost as the car not quite turned enough yet. You can see McElray already starting the turn way off the road course, and there goes. As soon as he got to the corner, Petrov went off. Further back as well, one of the, it's either Prokachik or Missig who goes off trying to figure out which drivers remain through. Yeah, I think that's going to be potentially Jordan Missig, who's gone off as well. Really nowhere to go for him as the drivers were onto the outside, but tough one there for Artem Petrov because he was able to get a good pass done and now finds himself in the litter. I don't know whether or not they're able just to drag him out of there at this point. Will he get a chance to potentially stay on the lead lap? Or if they're going to have to bring that crane out to get him back out onto the racetrack. Tough one for Artem because here's a guy that could 100% win the race here today. And again, was in that battle, as I said, with Hunter McElray to potentially grab third in the championship. Nonetheless, it's been a good year for Artem. 2 wins. I want to say 12 or 13 podium finishes. Yeah, there's Petrov. They've got him back out. Let's see if they're able to get him refired. He indeed may be able to stay on the lead lap if they get him fired back up, and he does. So Petrov back on the lead lap here. Artem Petrov continuing after the excursion off track. So put Artem back into the storyline. Kudos to the AMR IndyCar safety team for dragging him out of there. Jordan Missig was able to continue as well. So everybody remains on the lead lap. Petrov is going to have to get on his giddy up to get himself back around. Yeah, he'll have to really get on it to get back where he needs to be, potentially to tail the field. I don't know that we'd go green at this point here. Oh, wow. Yeah, lights already off on the pace car. So the AMR safety crew is going to be able to get in. So Petrov, there's no way I don't think he's going to be able to get back around in time. That said, it could be a slow run here. It's only halfway through the field. Trying to figure out where Petrov is. He's coming across start-finish right now. Where does Petrov end up when they go green? I'll try to see if I can't look at the other cameras. The AMR safety truck, I believe, potentially still on the scene in turn number 4 and 5. It's leaving now. Pulling back across the racetrack. Petrov coming through turn number 2. Field, though, getting ready to come up out of Thunder Valley. Petrov's going to probably need to get another yellow flag to insert himself back in the championship, or back in the equation. He's all the way down to turn 4 now. Yeah, the driver's just coming out of turn number 12 and 13. So Petrov going to want to keep the power down. One driver coming to pit lane. I think that might have been missing further back. We're back racing again. Green flag has flown. Underway once again. McElray getting that lead handed back to him, having lost the top spot from Hunter McElray, or rather from Artem Petrov. first run out of turn number 1 again at speed. Let's see what happens here. Track continues to dry up a little bit. That moves Braden Eves now into the second spot. Anam Ahmed runs in third. James Rowe fourth. Christian Brooks in fifth. Christian Rasmussen, let's take note, has taken the green flag, currently runs in ninth, now officially your champion. Braden Eves going to go to the outside right now here. He's going to try to make a move, try to pinch down on Macker. They almost touch. Braden Eves to the lead. Does he stay on the racetrack? He does. Book it. Braden Eves now to the lead. Down to the inside. McElray looking to come back around. Still running that outside line as the leaders. So Braden Eves is the leader. One driver off the racetrack, we're being told. So another driver has gone off track. Quick look around my cameras. And yeah, indeed, one of the drivers further back in the pack off track through China Beach, able to get back onto the racetrack. That was the 55 of Reese Gold. So Reese, the other guy in the championship battle with Hunter McElray, this potentially giving McElray what he needs to hold on to third in the championship fight. Petrov works his way down into turn 4. Now he's going to need that yellow to get himself back into it. But Braden Eves trying to stretch away. See if he can't get a win to cap off the season here. I like this fight further back again. Christian Brooks making a move to the inside of James Rowe up into turn 1. Brooks getting aggressive in the 44. I think he may be through to P4. So Christian Brooks pushing hard as well. He and Rowe having a good spirited battle for 4th and 5th. Look at that further back. Who's on inside? Who's on the outside? Brooks on the outside? No, Brooks is on the inside. Rowe coming across the bow. So Rowe got a better run out of turn number 1, was able to pull alongside, and then came across the bow from left and right to get that spot back from Christian Brooks. So we got a good fight here for 4th and 5th. 6th is Rasmussen. 7th, Prokopchik. 8th, Abel. 9th position, Jack William Miller. Drivers with those issues early. Reese Gold, Jordan Missick, and Artem Petrov. All drivers still on the racetrack, I believe. Braden Eves pulling away as the leader now, though. Track that Eves has called his home. Won here last year as well before the incident at Indianapolis from nearby New Albany, Ohio. Eves looking really good in tough conditions right now. Lap times right around the 134s, 5s, and 6s. Eves incredibly fast. He and Artem Petrov both turning 134s. We'll see whether Artem's able to close up at all. He's 26 seconds behind Reese Gold. That's how far back. He'll need a yellow, I think, to get himself back into the fight, Artem, after going off in turn number 4. Although he was 4 seconds quicker than a couple of the other drivers mid-pack. Again, this is a long race, 25 laps. We'll see what Artem Petrov can do, putting down good lap times. Eves down to a 132, speaking a little more to the way this track potentially changing. Yeah, look at the lane change. From the outside to the inside, they're essentially back to the racing line. Now you wonder whether or not there is a lot of wetness. You can see there coming into that braking zone, these drivers still having some trouble. A lot of spray still coming up down into the deep part of the braking zone of turn number 4. Maybe getting a bit of a sprinkle again trackside here. Wind starting to pick up a little bit. It was quite low in terms of wind during the Indy Lights race. Wind picking up a little bit. I don't actually have visual on a flag at this point. But, yeah, I mean, told it's getting a little bit more windy here trackside. That may be an opportunity to get this track dried up a little bit. Parker Thompson mentioned anywhere within that 10-second range, you can see the track starting to get maybe closer to dry line. Dry line qualifying 1:16.4 yesterday for Petrov, so you'd have to get down to a 1:26, 1:25. We're not there yet. We're still about 6 or 7 seconds behind that, so still a wet track in terms of race lines. These drivers will, for sure, have to get maybe more aggressive in terms of trying to find some water on the track to cool those tires off. There's your lead for Braden Eves. It was 3.6 seconds at the line. We got a good little fight as well here, too. I think Anam Ahmed in the Juncos Hollinger Racing Machine trying to close up on Hunter McElray. Anam trying to show what he's worth here. Had a couple of runs earlier in the season running for RP Motorsports. I want to say 3 or 4 top 5s early in the season, just getting used to the racetrack and the cars. Yeah, 3 top 5s. In fact, was 5th at Indianapolis, a 13th in the opening round, but then was top 5s in both race 2 and race number 3 before the schedule, before he ended up running out of budget, which is a shame for Anam. I would love to have had him here for the full season. That's the plan for 2022. Likes it over here in the United States, and again, we'd love to have him here with us as part of the program. A very talented driver out of London, England, who could easily be a driver to challenge for the championship next year. Artem Petrov with the fastest lap of the race right now, 132.830. But again, so far back at this point. Jordan missing across the line as he's in danger of potentially losing a lap here. Look at this fight further back, though. It's a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. McElroy, Ahmed, Rowe, Brooks, and Rasmussen. Christian Rasmussen trying to get himself back up into the fight, but very similar to Kyle Kirkwood, hanging around there in 6th. The job is already done. Started the race. Christian Rasmussen, back-to-back championships, just as Kyle Kirkwood did in USF 2000 and Indy Pro. Back-to-back in 20 and 21 for Rasmussen and Jay Howard driver development. Eves leading now by 4.1 seconds. 3 wins on the season for Braden. Won the opening round at Barber Motorsports Park. Won the front end of the doubleheader at St. Petersburg as well. Then, of course, a big victory on the oval at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Has a good run of top 3 finishes. Been on the podium the last 3 races. And a win here would put a nice cap to his season. Hunter McElroy potentially back a spot. We'll pick that up when they come back through here. Artem Petrov again trying to reel in the tail of the field. Still 24 seconds back all told. So Hunter McElroy, there he is there, back to 4th position. Not sure what happened there to Hunter, but he is back down to the 4th spot on this lap. Anam Ahmed and James Roy, I believe, able to slip by. Here comes the leader. There's Jordan Missig in the Pabst Racing Machine. Here comes your leader, Braden Eves, out of 13. This is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th. Yeah, indeed, Hunter McElroy. I don't know if he's struggling, whatever it may be, but Christian Brooks with a big run out of the corner. Watch for Brooks to potentially tuck to the inside coming into 1. You lose a bit of the grip there. He's going to look to the bottom. Not quite enough yet, though. Christian being smart and not trying that low percentage move on the inside where, of course, the track's going to be a little bit dirtier, a little wet. James Rowe, though, starting to put some pressure on Anam Ahmed for 2nd. Best we've seen out of James Rowe so far in these tough conditions. Oh, could be a car off in turn number 2. Obviously pushing hard up there into 2. Try to pick up potentially who that may be who has gone off. We saw some pretty aggressive racing coming out of 1 and into turn number 2. Not sure whether or not we have an instant. Look at this gaggle of cars coming down here. That is that 2nd, 3rd, or 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yeah, we may have had some contact there. Look at this fight here further back. Always tough when you see that spray come up as well. You know they're getting into a puddle there down into the end of the braking zone. It's Christian Rasmussen getting aggressive, working his way back forward. Rasmussen trying to go to the inside. Here's the driver off. That is Missig. Jordan Missig is the driver who has gone off on the outside of turn number 2. And we are going to go full course caution. So that big lead of 4.6 seconds for Braden Eves is gone, and that's going to bring Artem Petrov back in as well. So a little issue for Missig. And think about that. That probably happened either right in front of Braden Eves. I wonder whether they were involved or not, but Missig going off. Coming into turn number 2, we know that coming across the line, he was right in front of Braden Eves. So full course yellow here. 8 laps into the race. Oh, Steve Whittick coming into the studio here, and we got rain again. So more likely just the fact that Missig potentially caught out by the increased moisture. And that'll happen at some of these road courses, folks. Those of you who may not have been trackside, the sheer expanse of a racing facility, as the rain comes through, it's going to hit one part of the racetrack first. It could not be raining down in Thunder Valley, but the minute you work your way back up here to the keyhole so far apart, there could be rain there. So the good possibility if the rain indeed coming in from that direction could have caught Jordan Missig out a little bit. So The AMR safety crew jumping to quick work to get Jordan Missig back out onto the racetrack. I don't see, from what I saw, very much damage, if any, to the number 19 Pabst Racing entry. So Missig will get dragged back onto the racetrack. And again, two parts of the storyline. Number one, Eves had the lead. And then number two, Petrov able to come back in. Now, looking at live timing right now, I've got Braden Eves down into second spot. Of course, I'm not up in turn number two. Anybody who is in turn two, feel free to text me or drop me a DM. Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not that Braden Eves was trying to go by the lap car of Jordan Missig, and that has allowed Anam Ahmed to take the lead. So potentially Eves could have contact with Missig. So yeah, I'm going to check all my social media here, folks. If you know what happened, please drop me a line, because there is a possibility that could have happened down in that corner, Missig pulling away a little bit here. Okay, so here, again, you think about what possibly happened. I wasn't out there. A lot of people, of course, out there in turn number two watching. Obviously, one of the best places to watch from the racetrack here is outside of turn number two at the keyhole. Lots of different potential scenarios. Of course, I can't see it. Jordan Missig did come into pit. That's the one thing. Here's a potential update. Jordan Missig may have come into pit to put on slicks. That could have been a possibility. I didn't get a chance to have a really close look whether or not they maybe rolled the dice to try to go to slicks, thinking the track was starting to dry up a little bit, give him a chance to work forward. Eves was so close. I wonder whether or not, and you can see some, look at the track. If we spin back over here to the turn two shot, look at the tire tracks on the right side of the screen. I don't know that those were there before we started this race. I wonder whether or not Missig went around and Braden Eves had to take evasive maneuvers and come off the racetrack to potentially going out there. And yeah, getting another update from pit lane. Jordan Missig was out on slicks, so was out there, slick tires, cold tires, potentially rolling down. You can see how much slower he was. Braden Eves was closing up to him. Had they come up to this corner here, the keyhole, I am wondering, again, hoping somebody potentially will send me a message to let me know what happened. But yeah, there is a potential possibility that Braden Eves had to take evasive maneuvers and go off the racetrack to not get collected. Man, how crazy would that have been? You think about a guy out front with a 4.6 second lead coming up on a lap car who's on slick tires. Ouch. Missig maybe going back in to put on the rain tires once again. Not quite sure. As I said, Steve Whitty could come in and kind of gave me the signal that the rain was coming out a little bit. So we are told that we will be going green flag racing this time by. It's to be like the sun kind of coming out, getting a little brighter outside right now. This is just some crazy weather. Something similar to what we saw, I think, to a certain extent through at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Man, a lot of action, of course, here happening. This tough one. You think if you're exclusive Autosport, you got your leader, Braden Eves, out by 4 seconds, but Artem Petrov tearing things up, further back, 26 seconds back. Petrov now back to the tail of the field. He gets an opportunity to come back in and potentially steal that third place in points again away from Hunter McElroy. This is the crazy part of this right now. McElroy running currently in the 6th position. That would put him at 377 points. Artem Petrov, if he is able to get to third, they'd be tied in points. But, of course, McElroy, where are McElroy and Petrov? They 3 wins for McElroy, so yeah, he'll get the bonus. We're still rolling back and forth on bonus here. We are going back to green regardless of what we're doing math calculation-wise. Back at it once again. Green flag is flown, and we are racing once again. 10 laps down, 15 laps to go. Still 27 minutes remaining on the time limit, so lots of time here. Good jump there for Anam Ahmed. I don't know that they're going to hold back Braden Eves right now. He has been unbelievably good, and Ahmed's going to stay way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Eves not even there at this point. James Rowe starting to put some pressure on Braden Eves. You know that Rowe wanting a big race, really hungry for a solid result in that Turn 3 Motorsport machine. He's got the good folks from TopCon here this weekend. Look at him going to the outside of Braden Eves. Big run to the outside. Eves is going to hold that spot, though. Rowe trying to go deep into the braking zone. Maybe around the outside. Can he hold it? He does. Book it. Move to the inside. But coming up through turn number 5, Eves could be better positioned coming down the hill into 6. And no, James Rowe has gone into 2nd. Good run there for Rowe. Eves goes back to 3rd. 4th, Brooks. 5th, Rasmussen. Eves right back at him. Over, under. Thinking about to the inside of turn number 9. Ahmed with the lead. Rowe goes up into 2nd. Eves 3rd. Rasmussen now by Brooks to move Christian Rasmussen to 4th. Brooks in 5th. Christian trying to finish us off with a victory. 7 wins on the season for Rasmussen. Already the champion, having started the race, taking the green flag. Where's Artem Petrov? Does he get a spot here on the opening lap as of yet? The drivers stream underneath that Cooper Tire Bridge to get themselves into turn number 1 through down to 2. Ahmed keeping that bottom line. Look at this run for James Rowe. He has come alive here as he can smell potential victory closing up on Anam Ahmed early in the run, just coming up to the halfway point. Petrov still in the 11th spot, kind of biding his time, I think, here. Here goes Rowe. He's going to try to go on the outside again. Going to try to make it 2 for 2. Rowe around the outside, Anam Ahmed to the inside. Can he make it stick again? And he does. We have a new leader. Book it into turn number 4. James Rowe Jr., the Irishman, leading here in tough conditions at Mid-Ohio. What a great run for James Rowe. Irishman with a lot of Formula Ford experience. You hate to use the cliche line. He came up racing Formula Ford in Ireland and England, and he knows how to run in the wet. But let's be real, that's one of the things that you deal with running overseas in the UK, in Ireland. In Scotland, you're going to get wet weather. That's just part of the climate there. Numerous times at the Formula Ford Festival and, of course, with the Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone, you're going to get wet weather sessions. He is out front cleanly right now. Braden Eves in the middle of a big scrap here with Christian Rasmussen. Rasmussen looked to the inside of turn 12, wasn't able to make it stick as the outside line. Still good through the carousel. Eves holding on to 3rd, but Rasmussen pushing hard there in the number 1 for Jay Howard Driver Development. Petrov with 1 spot on that last lap. He's able to get by Reese Gold. As I said before, he had the fast lap of the race early after going off in turn number 4, getting back on. Still a long way to go. 12 laps remaining. Petrov trying to get himself back up. He's thinking about potentially grabbing 3rd away from Hunter McElroy. Gold back in 11th. He's not going to challenge. Christian Brooks, he's the one that's battling it out with with Rasmussen now too. Brooks really going at it with Christian. Rasmussen going to hold the spot coming down at a 5 to 6. He had the better run there, but he's also given Eves a little more breathing room because Rasmussen's got to think about the charging Californian behind him. Christian Brooks has been impressive already in this debut weekend running here in Indy Pro 2000, having worked his way up from USF. A couple of wins at St. Petersburg. 3 in total for that young driver to California. Finished 5th yesterday. And Brooks, that's where he's running on the racetrack right now. But he's taking it to the current champion who just scored the title with the green flag. Now Rasmussen has left Brooks in his dust. He's all the way on the rear bumper now again of Braden Eves. Rasmussen thinking about the inside of turn number 1. Looks to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to get a bit wide on the exit. Better run for Eves. And a driver goes off further back. That's McElroy. McElroy, I believe, has lost a wheel or dropped the wheels coming off at a turn number 1. He may have spun, and he's back on the racetrack. This could open the door for Petrov to move to P3 in the championship. James Rowe Jr. out front. Check out this guy. He is checked out on the field. Fast lap of the race, a 129.594. And how is this day shaping up right now for Turn 3 Motorsports? Peter and Mandy Dempsey, they get a win in USF 2000 in their first year with Josh Green. Is James Rowe going to turn around and give them another victory here? What a great drive so far for Rowe. There's your fight there between Braden Eves and Christian Rasmussen. Brooks trying to close back up into it as well. I want to say that's Jack William Miller now up into the 6th spot. Miller runs in 6th. Prokachik, I think, in 7th. Side by side coming out of turn number 9. Better run likely for Eves as they get into Thunder Valley. But those two drivers, first and second in the championship, are absolutely battling it out tooth and nail. Who's going to get it coming up the hill? There's Rowe. Oh, and Brooks is going to go to the inside of Rasmussen, try to hold it through turn number 12. Can't quite get the job done. Do we have a shakeup there? Let's have a look through. No, there's Rasmussen's through. Yeah, indeed. Rasmussen's got through. I think that Brooks is into 4th. Yeah, Eves has fallen back to 6th, like there may have been contact in Thunder Valley between those two drivers, because Rasmussen's come through cleanly. Yeah, and he's battling it out here right now with Christian Brooks and Jack William Miller. Artem Petrov now up to 8th. So not sure what happened there between Brooks and Eves, but Eves now back into 6th. He's got 2nd locked up. No one's taken 2nd away from Braden Eves now. Eves has got Wyatt Prokachik right behind him. Man, we got a lot of racing going on. Drivers flirting with the edge of adhesion coming down into turn number 4. Look at that. That's Rasmussen, Brooks, and then Jack William Miller. That is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 6th is Prokachik now, I believe. I wonder if there's a potential damage for Eves if he's fallen back a bit. The contact. You saw they were side by side, almost intertangling wheels coming out of turn number 9. That was that fight for 3rd. James Rowe, though, out front by 3.1 seconds now. His fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th is solid. Look at how many drivers are connected. You can see all these drivers going down to the inside of the racetrack to try to get some wetness on the tire, trying to find some kind of damp part of the racetrack, because that racing line, the outside line, most definitely starting to heat up. Hunter McElroy back in 11th position right now. What's that put him in points? 372. Artem Petrov would have to get to 4th. 11th for McElroy, 4th for Petrov. Would move Petrov to P3 in the championship. Petrov has got to get to P4. And this may be, and Parker talked about this in the Indy Lights race as well, this may be which drivers are taking care of their tires here as it starts getting a bit rough. Because these tires are going to start burning off. You can see these guys fighting further back. Petrov not able to go further. He's ahead of Jacob Abel, but he's got Wyatt Prokachik and Braden Eves fighting in front of him. And I want to say that might be Jordan Missig in there as well. Or is that McElroy working his way back up? We'll have to see. James Rowe, though, still 2.7 seconds up on Anam Ahmed, who has shown very well here in the Juncos Hollinger racing machine. Lap 17 going in the books. Still a fast lap for James Rowe on lap 5, a 129.5 did a 130.9, backing it down a little bit. Oh, that was a tight move there. Jack William Miller to the inside of Christian Brooks, and Brooks had to back out of it as Miller threw it up the inside of turn number 1. So Miller now, I think, up into 4th. And Jordan Missig, having Pitt, I think maybe running in the middle of these guys 2 laps down. So hard for me to pick up the numbers as they come across the line, but I think that might be Missig in the black. Hunter McElroy, or rather the Pabst machine. It's not Hunter McElroy. It's actually Missig in the middle of that fight. So he came in and I think potentially put on fresh tires. We'll see what he did in terms of coming back out here. Again, for Artem Petrov to get to 3rd in the championship, he needs to be P4. Hunter McElroy back in 11th spot. That would bring him, let's say, 372 points Petrov to get 374 needs to go to P4. Yeah, fourth again is where he needs to get to. I don't know that's going to happen here. Front two are gone, Rowe and Ahmed, as is to a certain extent Christian Rasmussen. Now, P4 in order, I think, might be missing. I'm wondering whether or not he is on slicks right now. We can see these drivers going to town trying to find wet parts of this racetrack to cool those tires down. Let's look at some lap times for Missig. Yeah, he did a 129.9 last time by. I have a sneaking feeling they've got him on dries and taking advantage of it now. You can see drivers going all over this racetrack trying to find places to cool off the tires. Now look at these guys way to the far left of the racetrack right now. Anything to try to get some cooling in these tires. Everyone having to take care of what they have here now. Jordan Missig on the dries, I believe. Yeah, so Missig and the Pabst Racing crew looking to throw him on dries. They go out there and see what you can do. Hold on. Do the best you can. The outside line, that rain line is drying up. Now, it's not the fastest line around the racetrack, but if it's dry enough to give the grip that Missig is looking for, that's why you're seeing him pull his way through here now. He's 2 laps back, but eventually he's going to be able to get out of that group and potentially reel in these leaders. Yeah, there's Missig there, third in the order, but 2 laps back. So Rasmussen running in third. Fourth, a good run here for Jack William Miller. Fifth is Christian Brooks. Oh, driver off at turn number 1. One of the, I believe, Juncos racing cars is off. That is Reese Gold, I think, off the racetrack in turn number 1, overcooking it into 1. 15 minutes to go, 6 laps remaining. How about we stack them and repack them? That's going to be full course, 100% full course yellow with him just on the outside of turn number 1. Should be an easy extrication. So, indeed, full course yellow being thrown. You can see Reese trying to get out of there, but, man, you get into that kitty litter, into that gravel trap. The design is to hold you. He's just not able to get that thing going anywhere. The Helmultro safety crew will get out there and pull him out pretty quickly. We'll get this field slowed up. 6 laps remaining. James Rowe, your leader, he'll be cursing in the helmet. 3.1 second advantage over Anam Ahmed. And here's the key, and this is exactly what Parker Thompson talked about in Indy Lights. You have to take care of the tires when you're out to a big lead because you never know what's going to happen, especially with a track that is drying as fast as it is right now. Here's the question. Does anybody come to pit lane? Can you come to pit lane and make a change right now? Or are the pits closed? I would assume pits are open. Yeah, we got a taker. Someone's going to dries. I think that's Jacob Abel. How quickly can they get this done? Jacob Abel's team going to go to dries. Have they practiced this? Well, a long time around this track. And gold is buried. This is going to be a couple of laps. Jacob Abel making the move to slick tires. We know that Missig was able to get down to the 127s. He's about 2 seconds quicker. I love this call by John Bruner and Kent Boyer and the crew at Abel Motorsports. Why not? Roll the dice. Yep, they've got Reese Gold out. They're probably going to have to get the brooms out a little bit potentially because he's brought a little bit of gravel out with him on the exit. They're going to want to clean that up a little bit, I would expect. Gold having to back it up a bit. We're going to see these drivers work their way down into turn 4. I've got a secondary camera following Reese. He is now pulled away. The AMR safety crew get him out there. Well, we are going to go green this time by. Let's cross our fingers. It could be a little slippery on the exit of the corner. Granted, they're already through running that outside line. Here comes Jacob Abel on the dries. They're only coming out of turn number 4 right now, down to 5 and 6. Abel's got to get at it because he needs to get to the tail of this grid before they go. He's going to be significantly behind. He needs to get some heat into these tires quickly. Could Jacob Abel make a bit of a charge here? Oh, one more lap around would have been perfect for him. We'll put lap 21 in the books this next time by. Still 12 minutes to go, so we're going to get the final 4 laps in. But the key is how close can Jacob Abel get here? Or is he? He's already coming down the straightaway, down into turn 4. He'll get a good feel for it. Keep it on the racetrack here right now. Field working their way up. He's only coming through turn number 5 now. Field actually coming around. Wow, I like the call, but they needed one more lap. We're back to green flag racing. Great start for James Rowe. Remember, these guys are on tires that are going to be falling apart. We're going to keep an eye on Jacob Abel. He'll have to be on the throttle. Abel just coming through turn number 9 right now. Drivers clean through turn number 1. We talked about a bit of that dirt there on the outside of the racetrack, but the new racing line, they are clean coming through 1. Abel's going to have to turn some pretty smoking fast lap times if he wants to challenge here. Because we're not going to have another yellow. 4 laps to go. We could, but I don't know that would even play at that point. We could potentially be done. James Rowe leading for turn 3 Motorsport. Battle side by side for third. Jack William Miller trying to find a way by Christian Rasmussen. Miller around the outside. Outside of 4, Jack William Miller's going to go to P3. Oh, maybe not. Rasmussen going to chase him around the outside. Anam Ahmed had some trouble as well. So it's Rasmussen thinking about the inside, side by side, coming with Jack William Miller up to turn number 2 and 3, or rather 5 and 6. Oh, how did they not get together? They were interlocked coming out of turn number 6. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, I thought that would have been heartbreak for both those drivers. Rasmussen obviously coming across the racetrack a little bit to the right to open up there. Jack William Miller hungry for a podium. Look at this. Rasmussen really going to work on Anam Ahmed as well. Miller's one of the fastest guys on this racetrack right now. Rowe down to the bottom and try to cool those tires off a little bit. Jacob Abel, 131.0. Let's see what he gets for a fast time. How far back is it? I think he's out of the contention. He needed that one more lap. Keep an eye on Jack William Miller right now. Aggressive move around the outside. Almost had it done on Christian Rasmussen. Miller, one of the quickest drivers on the racetrack here, and again, hungry for a spot. Yeah, Jacob Abel just coming across the line now. What a shame. Still 3 seconds faster. Yeah, one more yellow lap, and I think Abel could have won this race. Now, significantly back. Just not going to be able to do it with the amount of time left. We're not done, though, because James Rowe Jr. is going to have a visit here from Anam Ahmed pretty soon. Artem Petrov's worked his way up to 5th. Artem to 5th. If he can get up to 4th, or if something happens to a driver in front of him, he may be able to take it. No, because Hunter McElroy's to 9th. This changes things. McElroy to 9th is 374 points. It's got to be 3rd because 374 points is where Petrov will be finishing 4th, but the tiebreaker would go to McElroy. It needs to be a 3rd for Petrov. He needs some help here, and look at the racing up front for him. He's running 5th right now. If he ends up in 3rd spot, I believe Petrov will move to P3 in the championship. Here comes Rasmussen. He's looking down to the inside of Anam Ahmed coming through turn number 1. Not quite. Laps winding down here. Just a couple to go. They'll see the white flag this next time by. 23 in the books. 2 more to go for James Rowe, the Irishman. Talented driver, Topcon and Trintec sponsorship on the side of that race car, working hard throughout the season for his partners. Good to have the Topcon crew here. Could they put him, or he put them on the top of the podium here today at Mid-Ohio to cap off the 2021 season. Final 2 laps of the schedule. And then they work their way down into turn number 4. Turn 3 Motorsport trying to get a couple of victories here on Championship Sunday. Josh Green already doing it, his first win. One driver off the racetrack there in turn number 5. You saw that, turn 4, coming back on and almost looping it around. He does loop it around, but able to continue. Not quite sure which driver that was. We'll try to pick it up when they come across for start-finish to get to reset live timing. But a driver definitely gone off at the end of the straightaway. No, that wasn't James Rowe, was it? We're waiting to see who comes up. No, here's Rowe still. Rowe and Anam Ahmed. That one caught me off guard. Final lap. White flag flying here at start-finish. 1 to go. But Anam Ahmed is coming. We're going to have a battle here potentially on the final circuit. Artem Petrov has gone to P3. Petrov to 3rd. But will it be enough? Not quite sure for Artem Petrov. Here comes Anam Ahmed side by side. He's going to try the outside line on James Rowe. The crisscross at the keyhole coming back down the hill. What is happening? Is that might have been Rasmussen who's gone off. No, Rasmussen still in 4th. Brooks 5th. McElroy goes up to 6th. That would give him 374. Petrov now in 377. This is crazy. I'll have to wait till the end to find out what's going on here. Here's that battle for the lead. You can see down the inside, not quite enough for Ahmed there as he's pushing hard. Final lap on the racetrack. Petrov closing as well. He's to 3rd position. He went off in the opening corner. Final lap on the racetrack. Final lap of the 2021 Road to Indy season. Will James Rowe bring home the victory for Turn 3 Motorsport into Thunder Valley? Out of turn number 9 for the final time this year. Still that tough blind corner, then into the carousel. You got to open up wide. Does Ahmed throw it down in? He does not. They'll work their way through out of the final couple of corners. They're side by side going to be coming across the line. But no, for the win here, James Rowe Jr. with the victory. Did Rasmussen get by Petrov? He may have. Rasmussen gets by Petrov. That may steal the championship away. Or rather the 3rd spot in the championship. James Rowe winning by .141. Turn 3 Motorsports, victories in USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000 today. Christian Rasmussen nipping Artem Petrov at the line by 0.02 of a second. Was that enough? McElroy ends up finishing in the 6th spot. Abel getting the fast lap of the race as he's able to get Braden Eves in the final circuit. So let's just look at this quickly. McElroy in 6th, 377 points. Artem Petrov in 4th, 374. So McElroy will take 3rd in the championship. Even if he had finished 3rd, it would have been a tiebreak to McElroy for 3rd. So Artem Petrov threw everything he could to come back forward. Petrov ending up in 4th. James Rowe Jr., though, with the win for Turn 3 Motorsport. How huge is that for the Irishman? Getting the win here in tough conditions. Anam Ahmed 2nd, paying off the courtesy of being the opportunity to run with Juncos Hollinger Racing in this finale weekend. Christian Rasmussen, the champion, back up onto the podium, P3. Artem Petrov 4th, and Christian Brooks 2 top 5 for Brooks. And what a race it was. Hunter McElroy holding on for 6th, just enough to be able to finish up 3rd place unofficially in the point standings. Wow, what a finish to the season. Absolutely crazy. That was a lot. Here's your rundown, folks, before I head down to Tatis Victory Lane. James Rowe with the win. Anam Ahmed in 2nd. Christian Rasmussen 3rd. Artem Petrov 4th. Christian Brooks 5th. Hunter McElroy 6th. Jack William Miller in 7th. Wyatt Brakacic in 8th. Jacob Abel 9th. Braden Eves in 10th. Reese Gold 11th. And Jordan Missick rounding out the 12 drivers. We'll do a quick break, folks, down to Tatis Victory Lane, where we'll talk to James Rowe and a host of other drivers to cap off the 2021 season.
Here is a bit of wisdom from your Uncle Cooper. Tires exist on a spectrum. On one end, you got too much tire. On the other, you don't get enough. Both ends are rip-offs. You're either paying for more than you need or needing more even after you pay. So if you want a tire that costs what tires should cost and does what tires should do, go right for the sweet spot. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
At TopCon, we know a thing or two about a smooth surface. Roads and highways, piece of cake. Airports, let's just say it'll be the smoothest landing you've ever had. But what about when you want to go fast? Real fast? No, faster. We've helped cars go faster than they've ever gone before. Broken a few lap records along the way. Want the best paving performance? Go to the source. TopCon, always one step ahead.
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road to life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal water
Ohio Sports Car Courses. We're down here in Titus Victory Lane about getting set to go. Let's grab some of the drivers over here right now. And now, Ahmed, you come and join me first. Man, listen, getting a chance to run for Hokos Racing, obviously big for you here this weekend. But, man, this kind of played into your strengths, right? You're a British Formula 3 champion. You've run in the rain before. Congrats on a great run.
To be honest, if there's anyone I don't mind losing to, it's him, my gym partner at PitFit. You know, me and James get on really, really well. We fought really hard. I made a few too many mistakes as well. It was more about managing the tyres because the track was way too dry for the tyres that we had. And I was close to him at the end, but not quite.
Yeah, you were looking to make a couple of moves there. You obviously didn't want to do a low percentage move. Was there anywhere that was close you thought you could get the job done?
When in the last lap was my only chance. He was slow at turn 1 and in the middle. But he blocked the inside well, and there's no grip to break on the outside, so I couldn't do him.
All in all, a good weekend for you. Are we going to see you back here next year?
Oh, yeah, I love America. I want to come back.
I love it. And now I'm Ahmed, folks, from Hokos Racing. Let's get over this guy right now. Time for the interview. He's talking to Jim Leo's man at PitFit. James Rowe, long time coming. Perfect day for you, perfect kind of weather. And what a day for Turn 3 Motorsport.
Yeah, phenomenal. I think this year we've shown brilliance of pace here and there, but never could tie it together. And this weather's like our weather back home, but I got to give it to the team. I mean, the car in that race was phenomenal. The grip and traction that I had was just out of this world. Could get away, fell off towards the end, all right, when things start overheating. That's how Enam closed on us, but I mean, you win at the end of the year, you go into the off season, it's what people remember. We needed that badly, and I can't do without my partners, TopCon, Trintech, other people who are involved know who they are, and so many people cheers dude, so many people got me here, and keep me here. So only for them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So, yeah, what an honor.
How hard was it out there? Obviously, we could see the track starting to come in a bit, right? Jordan Missick was out on slick tires. He was getting quick. I saw you searching for grip all over the place. How tough was it with those Cooper tires starting to go away?
Yeah, that was off big time towards the end. That's when the gap fell away for us in particular. I mean, they were roasted. I was just looking for water to try and cool them down, and unfortunately there wasn't a whole lot out there to cool them down, and just focus on hitting my marks and making no mistakes. I think that's the key when you're out front, is just minimize errors, and here we are in victory lane.
You always want to win a championship, but as you said, so big to win at the end of the season. What was the feeling of relief after you came through and got the checker, knowing that you're wrapping this up with a victory going into that offseason so crucial?
I mean, I'm just happy for these boys. They work so hard all year, and there's so many times throughout the year where we had the pole at Gateway. I made a mistake. I rode America. We should have been on pole. Earlier in the year, there's a few other poles that slipped away from us. So the pace was there, and these guys just kept the faith, and this is how we ended.
Let's grab your teammate right here. Michael, turn over here. Let's get this guy here. Peter Dempsey. Dude, listen, obviously your dad, a legendary guy over in Europe, taking all our Americans to the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes. You've got your own team here, turn 3. What a day for you guys. You win in USF 2000. James bring you win in Indy Pro. Got to be the biggest day you've had, not in the seat, of course.
Probably bigger than anything I've done in the race car. More proud of the team we built, obviously. Starting from that much, as you know, and being able to build a winning team in both USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000, which he'd proven last year. But absolutely thrilled for James. The work he puts in, not just to get, not just to race, but to be in a position to get in the car. He's the only driver, I think, in both series doing that. So I'm glad he got his reward today. Win is well deserved. He was close at Gateway. He had flashes of brilliance here and there, but no more deserving winner than him.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Let's see if we can find Christian Rasmussen. Where is Christian around here right now? He's the guy we need to get. Let's come over here, Michael. We'll do a bit of a track walk here. He's talking to Dan Anderson. Christian, one more time, we've got to talk to you to cap off this broadcast before we do the podium. Man, dude, crazy for you. Obviously, let me do your feeling just coming across to get the green flag, right? That's all that we needed to do. Yeah. Don't worry about the rest of the race, but just getting the green flag.
Yeah, just getting the green flag, I knew I was the champion. So that was, obviously we kind of knew it was going to happen. I mean, I was not going to crash on the pace lap, but just very, very happy on how this season has gone. Very proud of the team. They've given me a great car all year. Being a rookie in the series, both me and the team, I think is a huge accomplishment. And, I'm just very happy. Looking back at the race, it's probably one of the craziest in my career. I mean, I was starting from last, rain in the start, drying conditions. I fell back to fourth on, second or third to last lap. And then in the very last corner on the last lap, I was like, there's a chance. I mean, I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to send it in, and it's stuck. So got a third place here today, and very, very happy.
Congrats on a great season.
Thank you so much.
Christian Rasmussen, folks, your champion in Indy Pro 2000. He will be in Indy Lights next year. All we've got left right now is a podium to wrap up, to cap off the 2021 season. Thank you so much for joining us here on Road to Indy TV.
Came out, I was like, hey, nice job. It was not good, but it was good. Oh, you ended good. We won the championship. We won the championship, but I had a terrible race, so I'm not happy about that. Yeah.
What a drive! What a drive, dude! I've got the audio of the radio. I messed it up because I saw you get your nose in front. I was like, oh, come on! So you can hear it in the background.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting ready to roll here right now with Tatis Victory Lane. Our drivers working their way down here now to get things underway to cap off the season. What a year it has been. There's no doubt about it. Sun, of course, starting to come out here right now. Perfect way to end the season. 3 very deserving drivers up here. All drivers you should watch for in the NTT IndyCar Series. But let's cap off the season by bringing up our champions. No presenters here today. They'll go up and grab their awards themselves. What a couple of seasons it's been. He was the USF 2000 champion last year, the Indy Pro 2000 champion this year. A third place finish for Jay Howard Driver Development. A round of applause for Christian Rasmussen. Let's move now to the driver coming home in second. Started the season off with a couple of good finishes. Got a little bit out of budget, but good to have him back here with us with Juncos Racing. Showed his talent here today. For Juncos Racing coming in second, Inam Ahmed. Great drive. It's been a tremendous day here for Turn 3 Motorsport, for Peter and Mandy Dempsey and the whole crew at Turn 3. They, of course, get the victory in USF 2000. They back it up with a win here in Indy Pro. Had a round of applause for my win here today, James Rowe! Tough conditions out there for James. Put the hammer down to get the job done. Excellent fight there for James. So again, drivers here on the podium getting ready to fire things up for the champagne presentation. Again, capping off what has been a tremendous season here in this Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Thank everybody for being part of this VP Racing Fuels Road to Indy finale weekend. And of course, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Coast hosting us here after the cancellation of the Honda Indy Toronto from earlier in the year. The drivers all getting a chance to wrap up the season here at Mid-Ohio, and what a race it was. And of course today the rain came as we expected based on the forecast, but the challenge to the drivers was epic for sure. Changing conditions from start to finish, as the drivers told you, drying up significantly over this race here for the Indy Pro 2000 category. And again, we will have champagne flying here momentarily. A couple of photos we've got to get done with some sponsors here as well. So again, drivers getting up our hats on here. We got a couple of shots. Hop up there. A couple of our guests here, part of the action here this weekend. Going to get a chance to get some photos up here in Victory Lane before we throw that champagne up in front of these drivers. It's really a tremendous weekend for, obviously, Christian Rasmussen being able to score the championship. All he needed to do was roll across the line. And as he said in the post-race interview, he wasn't going to wreck on that warm-up lap. But once that was done, he was able to go to work and right at the end able to make a move to get to the inside of Artem Petrov, who had himself come from the tail of the field as well. But otherwise, it is time for the final champagne spray of the 2021 season. Started Barber Motorsports Park back in April. St. Petersburg, of course, trips to Indianapolis, Road America, Mid-Ohio. And, of course, at that point, then moving to Gateway, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca as part of the West Coast swing with Portland, and then back here to Mid-Ohio to cap things off. We had our oval races at Lucas Oil. And again, just an absolutely fantastic season of competition. And as we do each year, graduating drivers up the ranks into Indy Lights and, of course, into the NTT IndyCar Series. These are three drivers we're going to see in Indy Pro or Indy Lights in the next couple of years. And, guys, let's wrap things up. Final time to spray the champagne of 2021. And it goes for the winner today, James Rowe, for Turn 3 Motorsports, victorious in both USF and Indy Pro. Christian Rasmussen with the championship. And awesome to have Inam Ahmed joining us for his first podium in Road to Indy competition. Hope to have him back for the entire 2022 season. Look, that wraps things up from Tatis Victory Lane. Shout out to James Rowe Jr. as he gets a huge win in the Top Con Turn 3 machine. And we wrap things up here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'm not sure if we got a little more to come here on Road to Indy TV, but the bottom line is we had some tremendous racing all weekend long. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.